A very good afternoon to you all, and welcome to the Common Jobs coverage of the Premier League encounter. It's the North London derby. It's Arsenal against Tottenham, and it's taking place at the Emirates Stadium today. I'm Russ Sweden, and I'll be the host for this game today, and I'm joined by a brilliant commentary team of Paul James and Johnny Ohms, and I'm also joined by Luke Turton as well. But the first port of call is to see how many changes both sides have made, and let's head over to see what that is with our match commentator. It's Paul James.
Good morning, Russ. Good afternoon, as wherever you are in the world, and good afternoon, everybody. For Arsenal, well, they've made two changes from the victory over PSV in the Champions League. Kai Havertz has been put on the bench. Vieira is in today. Leandro Trossard misses out completely, and Eddie Nketiah is in. For the Spurs, well, they only make one change. Manor Solomon is relegated to the bench, and Brennan Johnson is in, the £47.5 million man from Nottingham Forest. Russ, back to you.
Thank you very much there, Paul James, and we'll be back with Paul and we'll join up with Johnny in a few moments as well. There is other Premier League games taking place today, as a few teams played in the European competitions on Thursday evening. Just to tell you what other games are taking place in the Premier League today. We've got Brighton and Hove Albion against Bournemouth. We've got Chelsea against Aston Villa, Liverpool against West Ham, all kicking off at the same time as of the North London derby at 2 o'clock. And we're also joining a little bit later on. We'll be following the coverage on our Twitter feed, a Commentary Live 1 of Sheffield United versus Newcastle United. That kicks off at 4:30 this afternoon UK time, with a championship game which is happening right now. In the final closing stages of that game is Stoke City 1, Hull City 3. Hull City moving back up into the playoff places, into fourth after dropping out of them following yesterday's results. And later on at 3 o'clock is Sunderland against Cardiff City at 3 o'clock as well. There's a few other games taking place there. We'll tell you about all those at half time and laying out of the other scores. Just around the other grounds, Brighton have made a few changes from their winning midweek. With their defeating midweek, should I say, where Dunk returns to the side, the Oud starts as well. Ferguson's back in the side. Buonanotte starts as well. João Pedro scored 2 goals for Brighton in midweek, dropped to the bench. Bournemouth have named a fairly looking strong side against Brighton today. Cook, Christie, Philip Billing all start in midfield. Taverner, Solanke and Kluivert in attack for the Cherries down on the south coast. Chelsea have named a strong side as they take on Aston Villa, with Sterling, Fernandes, Mudryk, Jackson all in the starting lineup. Conor Gallagher is the Chelsea captain today against Aston Villa, who make a few changes from their game in midweek. Martin Pau Torres starts. Douglas Luiz back into the starting lineup. Zaniolo starts as well, with Diaby and Watkins also in the starting lineup for the Villains at Stamford Bridge. Liverpool have made a few changes as well. Gomez, Matip, Van Dijk all play at the back with Robertson. Diaz, Salah and Nunes is the front line for Liverpool. They take on a West Ham side who have Bowen and Antonio in attack with Paqueta. James Ward-Prowse also starts for the Hammers, and Ariola starts in goal for them today with Fabianski on the bench for the Hammers. That's the other bits of key headline team news from our other matches, which we'll keep you up to date with at half time and full time from our featured game today. Also, we'll keep you across how the championship result finishes up into stoppage time there between Hull and away to Stoke City today. Hull lead by 3 goals to 1. Let's switch in our commentator for a quick moment, Sir, who's watching this North London derby for us, and that's Johnny Ohms. And Johnny, very warm welcome to you. Welcome to the commentary, my friend. And Johnny, looking forward to this one today. How do you see this game going, and who do you reckon will come out on top?
Hi, Russ. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I'm surprised by the omission of Leandro Trossard for Arsenal for a start. Just been looking into that one. Apparently, he limped out of Arsenal's training session earlier in the week, complaining of muscle tightness. I think that would be a big miss. scoring. So I think that will be a bit of a miss. And Spurs, of course, come into this one with Big Ange Postecoglou, changing the way they approach games, changing their whole system. And they look like a much more lively side, a big threat. And, I don't think this is going to be plain sailing for the home side Arsenal. I think Spurs are going to come here to play, come here to try and win. And I can see them getting something out of this game.
Yes, thank you, Johnny. We'll be back with Johnny a little bit later on when we get with Paul and Johnny for the team. Let's feature our pundit for today, and that's Luke Turton. And Luke, welcome to the commentary again after a bit of a hiatus. Welcome, my friend. Hopefully, you're doing okay. Luke, how you doing today, mate? You okay?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Russ. Yeah, I'm doing all right. You?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Luke. And what are you looking forward to most in this match today that we've got, which is taking place at the Emirates Stadium this afternoon? How do you see this game going, Luke? Do you think it's going to be a tie one and Arsenal having it all their own way?
Yeah, I think Spurs will give them a really good game today, Arsenal. But I think, to be honest, what I'm looking forward to is the battles between the fullbacks, White and Zinchenko, and then Madison, Kulusevski, Son, and Johnson up in the attack for Spurs. I think that's quite a potent force, so that'll be interesting to watch. I think it might be a high-scoring game today. Hope I haven't jinxed it.
No, now you've said that, Luke, you probably have jinxed it, my friend. But let's just so we're looking forward to a good game today. Then, and if I were to ask you, Luke, going into this game, what do you think we'll have? Which manager do you think will have the most confidence going into this one on back of recent results for their sides?
Well, Spurs are higher in the table. Um, so I think they might be a little bit more confident going into the game. But then again, Arsenal have come off a great win in the Champions League. So really, I think both sides will probably be confident in their own right, and that puts them in good stead for a really interesting game.
Yes, and it's going to be like I say, it's going to be a very interesting game. Key battles as well could be the midfield key battles with Rice and Vieira and Bissouma and Sarr, Odegaard in there as well, with Odegaard also in that midfield. And that could be a key battle to watch. Which midfield do you see coming out on top, Luke, if I were to put you on the spot right now?
If Spurs give Arsenal and Odegaard space, then it'll be Arsenal. But if Spurs get tight, then it could be Basuma and Sarr. So honestly, I couldn't tell you right now. It all depends on kind of how the approaches are.
Yes, and it's going to be a big. These games are always big for not just for the occasion, but for the fans of both sets of sides. And a friend of mine, Jordan, he's a Tottenham fan, and he's said he's looking forward to this game. And a friend of ours, Mike Conneman, is also looking forward to this game. So that's going to be a tough ask to see how that game shapes up in the end. Well, it'd be interesting to see which side comes out on top. If I were to press you now, Luke, and ask you for a score prediction ahead of kick-off, what score are you going to go for?
Either a 2-2 draw or a 3-2 Arsenal win. I just don't know which one I'm going for yet. So there's two.
Okay, dokie. Luke, just before we get to the commentary team for the match with the players out on the pitch, just before we get to those, let me just fetch in Johnny Holmes. And Johnny, what is your score prediction for this game today, my friend?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it, Russ? Tough one to call, really. Both sides in strong form. Arsenal at home does give its own advantages, but something within me is just leaning towards Spurs. I feel like they can get something out of this one, ride that wave that Postecoglou's got them on. I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
Interesting one there. Luke's gone 2-2 on Arsenal, 3-2 win. Johnny going for a 2-1 Spurs. In the Super 6 prediction I've done, I've gone 3-2 to Arsenal. Let's see who's right as the players are out on the pitch as we hand over to our match commentary team. Johnny Holmes, you will say from there. But first, Paul James.
Thank you, Russ. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Johnny. Nice to have you alongside me today. Today's starting lineup today, let's begin with that. That's the first job of the day, and we'll start with Arsenal, who are managed by Mikel Arteta. They have David Raya in goal, Alexander Zinchenko, Gabriel, William Saliba, and Ben White at the back. In midfield, Fabio Vieira, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard wears the captain's armband today. And the front line is Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus, and Bukayo Saka. For Spurs, who are managed by Ange Postecoglou, line up as follows with Guillermo Vicario in goal, Destiny Udogie, Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero, and Pedro Porro are the back four. Yves Bissouma, Pape Matar Sarr, Song Hyung Min, the captain, James Maddison, the ever dangerous Dejan Kulishevsky, and Brennan Johnson, the 47.5 million pound signing from Nottingham Forest. And the substitutes for Arsenal, Aaron Ramsdale continues to have to play the waiting game. He's on the bench today. Jacob Kiwior, Cedric Suarez, Takahiro Tomiyasu, Emil Smith-Rowe, Jorginho, Mohamed El Neni back from injury, Kai Havertz and Reece Nelson. Fraser Forster is on the bench for Spurs, Emerson Royale, Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, Oliver Skipp, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Richarlison, Manor Sullivan and Alejo Veliz could make his league debut today for Tottenham Hotspur. And our referee today is Robert Jones. He's 36 and he's from Merseyside. He's a Premier League and UEFA official. Robert Jones was promoted to the Select Group 1 referees list at the start of the 2020-2021 season, and this is his first North London derby. He's had 8 appearances so far in all competitions, 38 yellow cards. The 1 red card came last week on Lyle Foster for Burnley, and 2 penalties have been awarded. And Robert Jones is joined on the lines by Lee Betts and Wade Smith. Michael Salisbury's the 4th official, and in VAR at Stockley Park, it's Paul Tierney and Harry Leonard. And Robert Jones is just about to get us underway with Spurs, who will be attacking the goal to our left in their white shirts, blue shorts, blue socks. Spurs, of course, Arsenal, of course, in their red and white jerseys, white shorts, and white socks. Song gets the game underway, and he just drops it back to Sarr, and it's all the way right back now. And it's back with the goalkeeper, Vicario, and Vicario just lays it back here. And it's launched forward by Van der Ven. Van der Ven just over the halfway line. It's headed on there by Saliba, and it's just knocked back there to Gabriel. There's a foul in the centre circle on Vieira, so immediately in this North London derby, you can expect lots of passion early on. The teams have played each other 207 times in all competitions. Arsenal have won 86. Spurs 67, 54 draws. The actual first meeting between these two teams was on November the 9th, 1896, in the now no longer existing United League. And it was at the Manor Ground, Plumstead, and Woolwich Arsenal beat Tottenham 2-1 that day. And just some news, interesting news articles from the time. On January the 5th, Die Presse newspaper in Germany publicly announces Wilhelm Röntgen's discovery of X-rays and their potential for new methods of medical diagnosis in a front page article. And on June the 4th, Henry Ford takes his first Ford through the streets of Detroit. Back to 2023, and there is a foul there and a free kick to be awarded. The foul on Van der Ven, and the free kick to be awarded by Tottenham, just level with their own penalty area, and it's dropped back to the goalkeeper, Vicario, and Vicario sends it over on the far side to Porro. And it's picked up there by Bissouma. Oh, and given away there by Romero, and Arsenal nearly took advantage of that. And Gabriel Jesus is already limping. Jesus, he's been the victim of injury for quite some time now, and he's already picked up another knock. Hopefully for him, it's just an impact knock. And it's now back on the far side there, and it's picked up by Sarr. Sarr keeps holding the ball. Sarr now just approaching the halfway line, and here's Maddison now on the break for Spurs, and it's down on this near side now to cuts inside. The shot takes a deflection, it goes over the bar, And the shot there by Brennan Johnson, looking for his first goal for Spurs. So early on, Johnny, you can see Spurs have set their intent out. Looks like it is going to be a corner. We'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. Brennan
Absolutely.
Johnson.
I mean, early on, something that I've been noticing from Arsenal, the way they're coming out to play this game, they're looking to press Spurs high by the looks of things. But that is allowing Spurs, when they get a chance to play through that press, we saw it there on that counter-attack which led to the Brennan Johnson effort. Spurs have got the pace on the break, which means that Arsenal's pressure might count against them at times as we wait for this corner to be whipped in.
Okay, so the so the corner was whipped in, and it looks like it's just yes. It was actually turned in by Son, but he was well offside, and the official's flag goes up, and Ben White there. Just you can see Ben White in the picture, and the free kick is going to be taken by David Raya. He's going to clear the ball long downfield, and barely just kept in play there. Good work by Nketiah to keep that in play. And it's going to be a throw-in. No, he wasn't able to keep it in play. Or has the referee just given a free kick here? Yes, it looks like he's just given a free kick. And it's played back there by Pedro Porro. And it's Ricky van de Ven. Van de Ven drops it back to the goalkeeper Vicario. Vicario over on the far side to Porro. And it goes out of play off Nketiah. It's going to be a throw-in. And throw-ins to be taken quickly here, and it just goes behind there off Martin Odegaard, and it's going to be a goal kick. So the goal kick's taken quickly as Spurs attempting to break out from the back. Here's Maddison. Maddison knocked out onto Sarr. Sarr has the ball now. He's just midway inside his own half. Sarr plays it to Maddison. And it's dropped down to Udogie. Udogie dropping it back to Van de Ven, but Van de Ven lets it go. And here's Bissouma. Bissouma over on the far side there. And it's picked up there by Bissouma. And Maddison. Just looking for Sarr there. Arsenal almost intercepting. And eventually they do. Ben White wins the ball
Good
back.
pressure from Arsenal.
Yes, it is. And the ball is down this near side to Bukayo Saka. And Saka now approaching the penalty area. Good work by him. He tries to play in Odegaard. Odegaard back-heeled. But it didn't work out for Arsenal. And Spurs can come away now with the ball. And here's Brennan Johnson storming over the halfway line. An inspired run by Johnson, but he's just not able to keep it in play. So you mentioned there, Johnny, good pressure early on by Arsenal pressing there, attempting to get through that Spurs defence.
It's a blessing and a curse for Arsenal, I feel this, because yes, the pressure is great, and if Spurs play a loose ball, Arsenal are in, they're all over them. The question is, though, and as we see a couple of times there with Brennan Johnson making his first start for the club today, he's got the pace. He's got the pace on the break, which means that if Spurs can play through that press from Arsenal, which they've been able to do a couple of times, that's where they look dangerous. So Arsenal's pressing seems to be their greatest asset and also their greatest weakness here today.
Yeah, that's a great point as well, because they have been known to be caught on the break. Defensively, Arsenal are superb, but they do get caught on the break from time to time as they do press and stream forward in numbers. There's a foul here on Jesus. Looks like he's caught from behind.
Jesus looks injured here. He's been limping about, and it's another foul. Are they targeting him here?
Well, that's an interesting question. He looks very frustrated. He was already taking the hit early on. And he's had a lot of injury problems as Jesus. But here's Saka now, and he gives it back to White. White just drops it all the way back, and here's David Raya, and it's given to Zinchenko. Zinchenko plays the ball forward for Vieira. Vieira over on the far side to Nketiah. Nketiah just drops the ball. Nketiah has the ball now. Oh, that's a fine challenge there by Van de Ven.
Brilliant tackle. Sliding challenge, Van de Ven. That's what you like to see in these games. Really tough challenges. Let them know you're there early on. Fantastic sliding tackle.
Oh, it's a superb challenge, and now, but the ball has been given away by Vicario, and Bukayo Saka. Well, he's got he had Udogi all over him now, and it's going to be a free kick to Arsenal. And Bukayo Saka, well, Spurs will know what kind of a threat he can bring to a game. Martin Odegaard is going to take this free kick.
Dangerous from dead balls is Odegaard.
Very dangerous, and especially in and around the penalty area. Now, this is a little bit further out, but we all know what type of ball Martin Odegaard can deliver into the box. And the Arsenal fans here at Ashburton Grove in buoyant mood. This is a derby. It can swing any way. I haven't given my prediction myself because my belief is on derbies like this, the form book
can
goes
never
out the
call
window. Yeah. Well, the free kick will be taken in by Martin Odegaard. It's swung in, and it's bouncing around there. And Udogi looking to try to clear that one, but it comes off. Did it come off Udogi last? Just wait and see what the... No, it's going to be a goal kick. Johnny, so far we had 8 minutes gone. We're still no score here at Ashburton Grove. Do you want to give me your assessment of the first 8 minutes of play?
Yeah, it feels like both sides are trying to find their stride in this game. I think that Tottenham have shown glimpses on the break, but Arsenal possibly the more threatening with that high pressure. I think you can see that Spurs, if they just play a loose pass, if they get a bit sloppy, Arsenal are going to pounce. And I would say that in the first 9 minutes, Arsenal have been the side looking more likely to create a dangerous chance, and Spurs are just hoping for a bit on the break with their pace. But to be honest, the first goal seems key. I think we need a goal to open this one up early on. It's been cagey. It's a North London derby. There's so much at stake, so much on the line. So I think both sides don't want to be that team that makes the first mistake. So I think a goal would really open things up here, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Johnny, for your assessment there. Very, very insightful stuff, and one of which I totally agree with, actually. I think we definitely could use a goal in this to open things up a little bit. It's back with Vicario now, and here's Van de Ven on the edge of the penalty area. Van de Ven decides to go back to Vicario. Vicario in now for Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris had a dreadful run of form towards the end of last season. And for Spurs, I suppose Spurs fans may still be a little bit cagey at this time because they have had good starts to the season before, and round about the mid-season point, things have started to fall apart. Here's Vieira. He's fouled. It's going to be a free kick. The foul is by Kulusevski. And already early on, you can see some pretty tough tackling going on. This is a North London derby. These two teams don't like each other very much. And free kick to be taken by Gabriel. Plays the ball long. He's looking for Zinchenko on the far side. Zinchenko just drops the ball back, middle of the Spurs half. And it's now back with Gabriel again. He drops it back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko just trying to pull away here. He gives the ball to Nketiah. Nketiah drops the ball back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko, it's with Gabriel again now, just over the halfway line. Knocks the ball onto Vieira, who drops it back to Zinchenko. In turn, he gives the ball back to Gabriel. Gabriel gives the ball to Nketiah. Zinchenko. Arsenal just keeping possession. Oh, Zinchenko, that's a disappointing ball, and it's comfortably intercepted by Brennan Johnson. And now Spurs can come forward, but there is a foul there on Udogi, and it's going to be a free kick to Spurs. So pretty scrappy play there from a promising build-up, Johnny.
Absolutely. It was nice to see Arsenal get on the ball. It's the first time in this match so far we've seen a side have a long spell of possession, but not able to do much with it there, the Gunners. A sloppy pass and a good interception from the debutant Brennan Johnson. But I think one of these sides, and it looked like it was Arsenal there, needs to get on the ball as Spurs look to come forward here. Johnson
just drops the ball there back to Van de Ven. Van de Ven plays it across to Romero. Romero infield to Matar Sarr. And here's Kulusevski. Kulusevski drops it back to Romero, back into his own half. Here's Sarr again. Gives it to Maddison. He drops it back to Sarr. Arsenal pressing Spurs back here. And here is the number 23, Porro. Porro drops it back to Romero. Looking at the win percentage, 46% chance for Arsenal, 25% chance for Spurs. When they've worked out all of the numbers there, that's what they've come up with at the moment. I haven't done my stats course yet, so I still can't
How do they
explain
come up
that
with
to you.
those numbers, Paul? How do they come up with those?
I'll let you know when I do my stats course, Johnny. I've got that in the winter, I think.
I think it's a lot of guesswork. You can, as you said earlier, you can never predict these London derbies. It's all about who shows the passion and the grit and the determination on the day, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely true. But I don't think that's the case with any derby as well. I definitely believe that to be the case. Here's Basuma. Basuma now gives the ball to Udogie. Udogie's under pressure here from Saka. That's not what you want if you're Udogie. And he gives it to Basuma, but good interception by Odegaard. And now here's Vieira. And here's Odegaard again. He drops the ball down this far side to Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka in the penalty area. Let's see what he can do. Oh, he tries to curl it across and on the back post. There is Jesus! Oh, that's a good save by Bukayo. That is fantastic save. And here's Bukayo Saka in the penalty area again. I'm going to get Johnny's thoughts in just a moment on that. Here's Ben White. What a save from from Jesus on the back post. Here's Johnson now doing some defensive duties. And he's fouled. Good work by Brennan Johnson. But Johnny, what a save from Vicario.
Stunning goalkeeping under pressure from Vicario. It's a good header from Jesus. He's gone back across the keeper. Just watching the replay here, Saka whips the ball in, and Jesus, with the strike across the goalkeeper, he's done well to get it on target to divert that bouncing ball. It kicks up in front of Vicario. We were discussing Hugo Lloris out of the team. Well, Vicario showing why Lloris is not in the team. That's a stunning, smart stop. Low to the ground, under pressure, and it's an effort from Jesus, who has looked like he's been nursing a little injury. Well, he nearly shook it off there to score, but brilliant save from Vicario.
Yes, absolutely. And here is it's headed on there by Saliba and just knocked on there. But there's another foul, this time on Bukayo Saka. Well, Udogie is waving his finger, but I don't think he can really complain at that. And here comes the first yellow card for Udogie. And that is on the 14-minute mark. And Johnny, what do you think of that?
It's an early yellow card, and in these derbies, in the years gone by, 10, 15 years ago, you could make an early statement challenge and get away with it. But these days, you are going to get punished for those tackles. And he's late. It's a definite yellow card. I don't know what he's complaining about. A wry smile from Udogie, but he clatters into the challenge. The studs are coming down. They can potentially be dangerous. Correct decision from the referee. And he's got a long way to go now. The left back Udogie on a yellow card. He's going to be up against it for the rest of the game, especially with players like Saka and Odegaard running at you.
Yes, absolutely, and you're right indeed. It was a very late challenge, and you just can't get away with that these days. Odegaard has also gone into the book. Now, I assume Odegaard has gone into the book for protesting to try to get the decision to be a little bit stricter on Udogie. Perhaps he was looking for a red card. Odegaard. Yeah. So we have a booking apiece with 15 minutes gone. And the free kick is going to be taken by Ben White just inside the Arsenal half of the field, and he launches the ball forward. And Udogie gets a header on that, and he gets the ball back. Udogie. And, it's a terrible giveaway! And here's Nketiah! Another good save by Vicario, who bails his defender out. But what a dreadful back pass by Udogie that let in Nketiah there, Johnny.
Shaky couple of minutes for the left-back Udogie, who just gives it on a plate there to the Arsenal forward Nketiah, the number 14. And again, Vicario called into action. And again, he steps up, makes himself big, makes the save. It's one he should make at the near post. Maybe Nketiah could have gone across him there, Paul.
Yes, I was just thinking that myself, actually, Johnny. If he'd have gone across, he might have had a more success rate. Corner it is, Saka swings it in, and there's a header on, and it's just headed away there this time by Udogie. Better defending that time. Here's Vieira. Gives it to Zinchenko. Zinchenko lifts the ball forward, and Jesus is in the penalty area, but coming across there to do some smart defending is Sarr. It goes back to the goalkeeper Vicario, who clears it downfield. My goodness, he's been busy early on. Here's Kulishevsky now for Spurs. He tried to play it in Son, but the referee has called an infringement there. But Vicario early on, Johnny, has been pretty busy so far.
He has. Definitely Arsenal with the better chances. 2 stops that you would say he's capable of making, 2 stops that you would expect your number 1 goalkeeper to make, but still under pressure in these big games, you have to make the saves. He's made the saves so far. Can he keep it up? Arsenal here trying to ramp up the pressure.
Vieira gives the ball, Declan Rice gives the ball to Vieira, and here's Zinchenko. Back to Vieira. Well, Zinchenko has gone back into his own half of the field. He's given it to Saliba, and here's Ben White. White plays the ball forward to Saka. Saka gives the ball back to White. White almost loses the ball, but finds Odegaard. It's hacked away by Van de Ven, and now Spurs can break. Here's Son. Gives the ball to Kulusevski. It's now with Johnson. Just over the halfway line. And it's back with Udogie again, who's been in the wars so far today. Here's Maddison. James Maddison cuts back into his own half of the field here. He just wants a bit of space and time. And he gives the ball to Romero. Romero plays the ball forward. And it's just given to Porro in an advanced position. Porro has got the ball now. Here's Spurs coming forward. They're streaming into the penalty area. It's swung across, hacked away by White to the edge of the area. And the shot coming in there by Sarr over the crossbar. Well, you mentioned early on, Johnny, about how Arsenal can be caught out when they press and go forward. And they were nearly caught out here.
We saw it on the right-hand side there this time for Spurs. They've been coming down the left when coming forward so far, and it's the first real chance in and around the Arsenal box as it's whipped across at pace. Son didn't quite gamble and try and get in between the defender and the goalkeeper, and it's kind of clumsily palmed away by Raya. But yeah, here comes Spurs again, Paul.
Kulusevski swings it in, and David Raya is behind that. That's just a little bit too close to the Spanish international goalkeeper, and he launches out quickly to Bukayo Saka. And all of a sudden, this game has woken up. Here's Odegaard. He gives it to Declan Rice. Declan Rice just drops it back there to Saliba. Oh, under pressure by Son. He turns Son very well to Saliba. And Saliba gives it to Bukayo Saka now, and he's up against Udogie. Udogie has to be careful. He's already been booked. Here's Saka. Just plays the ball into Odegaard. Odegaard tried to play the ball back to Saka, but a man as quick as Bukayo Saka is, he's not going to reach that one. So that move breaks down for Arsenal, Johnny.
Not quite on the same wavelength there, Saka and Odegaard. We don't say that very often. Those two have a metronomic link-up ability, but this time Saka wasn't quite making the run that his teammate was expecting. But right idea, and if those start coming off, Spurs will be in big trouble.
Absolutely, and it's back with Vicario now as Spurs seemingly adopting the more fashionable route these days of playing out from the back. A lot of teams do it, and some teams are able to make it work, and others end up with egg on their faces, to be honest. Here's Declan Rice. Declan Rice plays it down on this near side to Bukayo Saka, who once again is staring down at Udogie. Bukayo Saka. He plays the ball back to Ben White. Ben White plays the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko. He's got options ahead of him. Well, he finds Vieira there, and it's now back with Nketiah. It's Zinchenko again. Arsenal now looking at breaking forward. They've got a long ball across the field to Bukayo Saka, edge of the penalty area, gives it to Odegaard. Odegaard cuts inside. Odegaard under pressure by Udogie. Good work that time by the Italian. Excellent work by Udogie now as he brings the ball away for Spurs. Over the halfway line to Son Heung-min, but there's an offside. Better work and more solid defending that time by Udogie, Johnny.
Better from Udogie, but just before that, just as Saka looked to go past him and ping a ball over the top, Udogie did look like he was about to lunge in, and I saw the cogs working, and he thinks, I can't dive in here, I'm on a yellow card, it's only the 20th minute, and he just held back. But if Saka's going to keep running at you all game long for the next 30, 40, 50 minutes, he's going to be in big trouble. He's going to be backpedaling, and if he makes any sort of lunge, he's going to be in big trouble. I fear for Udogie here, but good defending in the end.
And Arsenal now have the ball again with Zinchenko midway inside the Spurs half of the field. It's over to Nketiah. Nketiah has got Porro and Kulusevski in front of him. He drops it back to Zinchenko. And it's now back with Gabriel to William Saliba. Saliba, it's a poor ball by Saliba. He plays it over the head of Bukayo Saka, and another move breaks down for Arsenal. Johnny, I have to say, when Arsenal are coming forward, they really do look normally very, very solid. They work together well, especially that front line, Nketiah, Jesus and Saka, Odegaard as well. Do you see this really working out for Arsenal today? They've had a few missed passes, but do you see them clicking together and maybe hurting Spurs?
I think that's what they'll be aiming to do here. They've come out to try and play Spurs off the park, to press them high and to play free-flowing, attractive football, which both sides have been displaying so far this year. I just worry for Arsenal about Spurs on the break, but it's more pressure from the Gunners here and winning the ball back in the final third.
Well, here's Jesus now. It's Sarr falling all over, and it's going to be a throw into Arsenal. Jesus just hands the ball to Zinchenko. This is level with the Spurs penalty area. Zinchenko just looking at what options he's got available. He finds Jesus in the penalty area. It brought down well. Eddie Nketiah nearly got on the end of that. Romero hacked it away. And here's Son now approaching the halfway line. He plays the ball out on the far side to Kulusevski. This is Kulusevski, I believe, is the one Arsenal need to watch. Here is under pressure there is Maddison. And is Maddison fouled there? He is. And it's a free kick to Spurs midway inside the Arsenal half of the field. Vieira down injured. Looks like he come off the worst of that tackle, but a foul for you, Johnny?
It looked a foul. I thought the ball was just getting away from Maddison, so he's very clever there. We see it quite a lot these days. If you're starting to lose control of the ball, you draw the foul, you win the free kick, you maintain position and you maintain possession of the ball. I think this is what Spurs need to do more of. They need to keep the ball high up the pitch in the final third. They need to bring Son, they need to bring Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski into this game, because if you've not got those guys on the ball, making things happen, creating space, then you're not going to get too far in this game if you're Tottenham Hotspur. But Maddison can be dangerous from these dead ball situations. He'll be looking to float a nice ball in here, I would have thought.
Well, Maddison's over it now, and there's Sarr in there. Udogie in there, Romero in there, the usual suspects, Son. It's a high line by Arsenal. It's swung in, and it's just caught by Vieira. Comes out to, Sarr. Yes, he went for the shot there, and I think he managed to find Kulusevski, so Spurs keep possession. But very interesting attempt by Sarr. Here's Maddison, and he gives the ball to Porro. Porro back to Kulusevski. Kulusevski back to Maddison. Maddison, well, he's got Basuma alongside with him. He gives the ball to Van de Ven. Basuma now has the ball, and it's played forward here to Udogie. Good turn by Udogie.
Lovely.
Oh, and Bukayo Saka just wins that little battle, and Bukayo Saka now gives the ball forward to Eddie Nketiah. Nketiah finds Odegaard, but he's dispossessed, and here's Kulusevski. Kulusevski now just trying to, good work by Zinchenko, just takes the ball away from Kulusevski, and the Arsenal are moving forward now with Zinchenko. The break is on. Arsenal, they give it to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard down this side to Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka inside the penalty area. Saka, chance to shoot here. Oh, it's an own goal. It's turned into the net by Romero, and Arsenal take the lead. That will probably go down as an own goal. I'm not sure if it was on target, but the Gunners take the lead in this North London derby, and it looks like it may be an own goal by Romero. Let's have your thoughts on that, please, Johnny.
If you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle, and Saka has just won said raffle after it deflects in off Romero. He cuts inside, doesn't he, Saka? He's dangerous. He's always lively, and he's always looking to do that, to cut inside, shape it onto his left foot, and just bend it into the far corner. It was heading there. Let's see if this was on target, Paul, whether it'll go down as an own goal or not. But Romero, who's trying to get back, trying to divert it anywhere but goal, and guess where it goes? Back of the net. A bit of fortune, but Arsenal lead here.
Yes, I'm just looking at it. It might be on target, actually. I may be being a little bit mean to Romero here. It's difficult to say in that situation.
Might have just been curling in bottom corner, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's gone down as an own goal, though, by Christian Romero. And, well, it's one for the dubious goals panel, but yes, it's. I mean, I'm sure Saka will claim it if he can, but I can't help thinking that might be an own goal. The game gets back underway, and here's Maddison now as Spurs attempting to get back in this game. Yeah, and that's a foul. There's no question about that. He goes down there, does Maddison, and he doesn't look very pleased as he was caught there by Vieira. Vieira goes down again. And Postecoglou does not look impressed.
Seems that Vieira has been staying down whenever he's committing fouls here. I don't know if he's trying to win the referee's affection or whether he's got a genuine injury, but there seems to be a break in play. A couple of Arsenal players showing a few signs of knocks. We saw it with Jesus. We're now seeing it with Vieira. That's the second time he's gone down as we see a replay here of this Saka goal.
Yeah, it's so difficult to tell whether that's going on target. From what I understand, it's been given as an own goal. Perhaps our producer Ross can actually, yes, that's going wide when you look
It's
at it.
going just wide, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an own goal, and it's an unfortunate one. It's one that you would expect a defender to try to intercept or to try to get a block on. So I think it's most unfortunate for Romero, but those are the breaks. I'm afraid football can be a very cruel game.
It can. That's the life of a defender summed up in one passage of play. You've got to get something on it. You've got to try and divert it away. But once you do that, and when the ball's moving at pace, you never really know which way it's going. And you look clumsy. It looks bad on you when such a thing happens. But at the end of the day, you've got to try and go and win it, and you can't really put too much of the blame on Romero. More of the blame, I would say, has to go on the Spurs backline not pressing Saka and allowing him to turn inside. You know what you're going to get if you allow Bukayo Saka to shift inside onto his left foot and get a shot away.
That's true. You're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel, brought to you as well today by Turton Talks Football. Commentary Services is Commentary Services is the official player of the match sponsor on the Hub. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports and Storm FM. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com /the Commentary Hub. You can also subscribe to Turton Talks Football. And here's Spurs now, and here is Sarr. Sarr just slips the ball back there to Porro, and Porro was looking for Kulusevski, but good work there by Arsenal now with Gabriel Jesus storming forward. Zinchenko gives the ball over on the far side now with Vieira again, who's back on his feet, seems fine now. Vieira just drops the ball back there to Rice. Rice just slips the ball back to Saliba, who gives it across to Gabriel. I've stuttered on my words for a second there. Yes, our producer Ross has said it's gone 100% goes down as a Romero on goal. Here is Saka. Saka, wonderful ball on the far side now. And here's Vieira. Can he get the cross in? And there's Jesus. Good defending. Excellent defending by Van der Ven. Wonderful defending. Jesus was there on the back post. That was certain to be 2-0, Johnny.
That is what life as a defender is like when you get it right there from Van der Ven. Lurking at the back post, Jesus, and he just has to get something on it. It's one of those, again, he's got to avoid repeating Romero's mistake and diverting it into his own goal, but he does brilliantly to divert it behind for a corner. Fantastic defending, Van der Ven.
So, corner to Arsenal with half an hour gone. It's Arsenal 1, Tottenham 0, North London derby. And here's Bukayo Saka. Just swinging this one in. A header is on, and it looks like Sarr just got his header on that. It's going to go behind for another corner to the Gunners. And Arsenal now turning the screws, have the 1-goal lead. And it's Bukayo Saka who is going to swing this one in again. And again, in the box there, Gabriel is in there, Nketiah is in there. And the usual suspects, Saliba, Jesus, it's swung in. And it's just headed away this time again, though, by Sarr. It's headed back in, and it's easily picked up by Vicario, who himself has been... So Russ has actually just confirmed, he's just made a correction to his previous statement. The goal has been given to Saka, according to the Premier League, which is interesting.
It looked like it was heading wide. Maybe they've run the numbers, got the metrics out, got their protractors out, and worked out that it was just going to curl into the bottom corner there, Paul. But it looked like it was going wide, didn't it?
It did look like it was going wide. I have to admit, I thought that was going wide. But the Premier League have given it to Bukayo Saka, so Romero is off the hook, so to speak. Oh, there's a chance here. Oh, a terrible giveaway defensively. What were Spurs thinking? Oh, this was James Maddison this time, I think. James Maddison, well, he completely fallen asleep here. The ball was given to him, James Maddison, and behind him, maybe he got no shout. He wouldn't have seen Gabriel Jesus. And obviously he didn't get a shout, and Jesus got in there. And, well, what a chance for Arsenal. That should have been 2-0. I'll get Johnny's thoughts in a minute because Spurs are at the other end. And it's Kulishevsky. Kulishevsky just drops it back there to Romero. Romero lifts the ball forward, finds Son to the edge of the area to James Maddison. Keeps possession. But, James Maddison is adjudged to a foul. Declan Rice, it's going to be a free kick. Going back to that chance, Johnny, should have been 2-0, right?
I don't know how it's not 2-0. Gabriel Jesus has got to put that away. A lot of the blame and a lot of question marks will be around James Maddison there in that passage. I'm surprised he doesn't get a shout from his defenders, from his goalkeeper, or even the away supporters there, just to let him know that someone is bearing down on him. Gabriel Jesus was that man. He steals it away from him. He's well inside the box, and a striker of the quality of Gabriel Jesus, surely he's got to be putting that away. On the wages he's on, he'll have wanted to score that goal as a through ball is cut out by David Raya there. Big chance, should have been taken.
Absolutely, and here's Declan Rice. He just drops the ball now to Bukayo Saka. Saka drops the ball to William Saliba. And here's Zinchenko. Zinchenko now is just looking at what options he has available. And Zinchenko's Spurs standing off Arsenal here. I'm not sure how much of a good idea that is. Zinchenko gives the ball on the far side to Jesus. Jesus now to Vieira. Vieira is dispossessed that time, and that move breaks down for Arsenal. And it's a poor giveaway that time by Romero. And now Arsenal have the ball back with Declan Rice. But good challenge this time again by Udogie. Good work by him. Udogie now over the halfway line. And here's Johnson. Oh, fine challenge that by Gabriel, because that really would have let Brennan Johnson in there.
It's a brilliant tackle. It's a goal chance saving tackle, because if Johnson gets away from Gabriel there, he's in on goal, and surely on his competitive debut for Spurs would have had a real chance at testing Raya there. Brilliant sliding challenge.
Well, Jesus just launches the ball forward into the penalty area, but it's plucked out of the air comfortably by Vaccaro. And you can see here there's been 19 touches in the Tottenham penalty area, only 3 in the Arsenal penalty area, which gives you some idea that really Arsenal are well in control of this game. And with 10 minutes to go till half time at Ashburton Grove, it is still Arsenal 1, Spurs 0, and it's a throw-in to be taken by Zinchenko. Zinchenko, midway inside the Arsenal half, he finds Jesus, who seems to have switched over now to the left forward position. Here's Jesus in the penalty area. Pass wasn't the best, cut out there by Spurs, and Spurs can come forward. And here's Sarr. He's got Gabriel in front of him. Sarr under pressure by Zinchenko, but you can see there that Spurs really, a lot of the time the Arsenal move is breaking down, as you mentioned earlier, but they're not as quick to break out at the moment as Spurs, Johnny.
They need to get a foothold in this match. That's the problem for Spurs at the moment, is they haven't got a grip on the game. They're not having any sizable spells of possession. Arsenal are very much dominating in that regard. And if you're just relying on a flash chance, a snapshot here and there, sure, you might get your moment, but football matches are rarely won on moments. You've got to dominate the midfield. You've got to get a grip of the game. Spurs not able to do that so far.
Absolutely, and Russ confirms the reason Saka was credited with the goal as the shot was on target according to the Premier League. And chasing this one down now is Udogie, but cutting across defensively is Saliba. Just been a rock for Arsenal at the back. David Raya just taking his time and eventually clears it with Udogie bearing down. But it goes out of play. We have had a comment actually, and a bit late reading this one out, so sorry, Luke. Luke has said Udogie having a nightmare. Well, this was much earlier on, of course. I think Udogie has settled into the game a little bit better. Here is Bukayo Saka now, and in front of Bukayo Saka is Van de Ven. Van de Ven. Bukayo Saka cuts inside, played across to Odegaard. So dangerous from these positions! Odegaard with the shot, and it's a comfortable save by Vicario. Well, perhaps Spurs showing their naivety a little bit. Odegaard, well renowned for these kind of situations, Johnny.
Absolutely. Saka was allowed inside earlier on. It led to a goal, and Odegaard given too much space about 25 yards away from goal. If you keep doing that and keep giving him chances, he's going to take one. This one a bit central, a bit tame, a bit too close to Vicario, who'll eat those up all day long. But don't prod the monster. Don't feed the giant. Odegaard, if you give him chances, he's going to take one of them.
Of course he is, yes. And now Nketiah has managed to try to steal the ball back, but Romero gets an interception foot on that. And here's Son now over the halfway line, gives it to Kulusevski. Johnson is breaking into the penalty area too. Kulusevski cuts inside. Here's Son with a chance. It's pulled across to Brennan Johnson. What a save from David Raya!
What a save!
Well,
unbelievable from Raya.
Oh, here's Odegaard now, and well, that is a fantastic save. Whatever Vicario can do, Raya can do. Johnny Holmes, tell us about that one.
It's an unbelievable stop. The ball surely has to find the back of the net from Brennan Johnson. Oh, what a moment. He would have dreamed of that one tonight, Brennan Johnson. And if he'd have that chance over and over again, he'd back himself to score it 9 times out of 10. But out of nowhere, Super David Raya jumps, dives in front of the ball and just makes a last-ditch save. The ball is heading towards goal. Raya's scrambling back to try and make it, and he does make it. Brilliant save, but Johnson, if he goes either side of him, he scores. It's a certain goal. He'll be ruining that chance.
Well, it's Arsenal just, well, they're playing a little bit of Russian roulette at the back here at Arsenal. It's cleared away there by Gabriel eventually, but Spurs starting to press Arsenal a little bit here, and perhaps they don't like it. Let's have a look again at this chance. Oh, okay, so we've got an update on the Saka goal, and I'll come back to that in a moment as we just look at that save again. So now Russ Vernon, our producer, and God bless him, it's not his fault. The Premier League have now decided to take the goal off Saka and give the goal back as an own goal again after checking it one more time. Maybe
you
they
were
should
right the
listen
first
to
time,
us,
Paul.
Johnny.
Yeah,
I know.
trust us. We've got good eyesight.
Well, it's Romero now for Arsenal. And Son, oh, it's a poor ball by Son, picked up by Zinchenko. So I'm just going to alter my numbers again on my little team sheet here. And let's hope they don't make any more changes, because I'm out of room now. And here is Basuma. Basuma down to Sarr. Sarr gives the ball to Brennan Johnson. 6 attempts for Arsenal, 5 for Spurs. Johnson gets in the penalty area. It's cut across. But that's an easy take for David Raya. And, well, that's interesting from the Premier League, isn't it? We got it right the first time, Johnny.
We did. Gold medal for us. Fantasy Premier League managers up and down the country would have been watching that one and holding their breath, hoping the goal would stay with Saka. They'll be disappointed, and if anyone's got Romero in their side, they'll be doubly disappointed. But what a save that was from Raya. We're just seeing the replay of it there, scrambling across his goal line. But you have to feel that if Brennan Johnson diverts that closer to the bottom right, David Raya's right-hand corner, surely he scores. It's too central from Johnson. Flash shot. Raya does brilliantly, but Johnson gives him the chance to get back, and that's the key. Raya took that chance.
Well, we've got a comment from Luke again. We sure they don't need another VAR look on that goal. Make dead sure who it's going to. Well, there's a giveaway there almost, but Arsenal have won the ball back. But here's Nketiah who goes down. That's good work by Porro, and it goes now back to Vicario, and Vicario gives the ball to Basuma. Basuma out on the far side now to Romero. Romero just looking at the options. He gives it to Maddison. Maddison launches the ball long. Chasing that one is Kulusevski. Gabriel going over to meet him. Kulusevski. Is he going to try and cut into the penalty area? He does, and he just drops it back to Basuma. Basuma, good cross, long and deep, and Reyes just fumbling with it, and the shot comes in again by Johnson. He makes the save, and Spurs continue the pressure. Here's Maddison. Maddison getting into the penalty area. Maddison, bit of space in front of him. It's pulled back, and there's a touch by Son, and it's 1-1. And Son Heung-min levels the score in the North London derby. And, well, Johnny, that was a tidy finish by Son Heung-min.
It's a brilliant finish, but it's pinball in the Arsenal box. They're at 6s and 7s there, and Spurs in the end capitalised. Brennan Johnson had a chance to make it 1-1, but seconds before that, and Arsenal looked rattled. Raya makes the save from Brennan Johnson, but the ball just comes back into the area. Arsenal have not had time to set themselves. They've not had time to compose themselves after nearly giving that chance away. And Son takes full advantage, like he always does. The fox in the box. There it is. Raya just palms it away, and Johnson should score, really. The ball's diverted away by Declan Rice. And then is it Maddison here, Paul, who gets the cross back in? Does really well, doesn't he, Maddison?
Yeah, he does. It was Maddison. He just it started with Raya pouring the ball away, but only to Brennan Johnson, and the save then from Johnson. Maddison just pulls it back. It stays in play, and Son.
finish.
Well, oh yes, absolutely. You know you can't give him any kind of a chance from that distance. He's going to bury it, and that's exactly what he did.
Fantastic finish. You couldn't really pick that ball up and place it any better. He puts it right inside the post. In fact, it does catch the post on the way in. Fantastic finish by Son. Brennan Johnson has had 2 chances, couldn't put them away. Son turns to him and says, "This is how you do it, mate." And it's a brilliant, brilliant finish. Tottenham have been coming back into this game, haven't they, Paul? And they've drawn level.
Yes, they have. They've a little bit of pressure there this time, more pressing by Spurs. And you can see the Arsenal fans don't look pleased with that. And it's now back with Gabriel, who just knocks it back. Saliba, knocks it back to the goalkeeper. Saliba gets the ball back here. You're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel, brought to you today as well by Turton Talks Football. Commentary Services is the official player of the match sponsor on the Hub. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports and Storm FM, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Commentary Hub. Also, if you like what you're seeing on Turton Talks Football, you can also subscribe to that too. And here's Maddison now. Maddison just drops the ball back there to Van der Ven. Van der Ven across to Romero, who'll feel somewhat relieved at the goal by Son now that his own goal has been chalked out. And it's back with Vicario. We've got, we're just in the last minute really now of the first half. We're just going to determine how many minutes Michael Salisbury is going to add on to this game. And here's Bissouma. Johnson gives the ball back to Bissouma just inside his own half of the field, and he drops it back to Van der Ven. Van der Ven across to Romero. Romero plays the ball out on the far side there, and that looks like it's Sarr there. Sarr gives the ball to Porro. Porro just drops the ball back to Sarr. Sarr, under pressure from Nketiah. Nketiah and Jesus seem to have switched positions. It's now Jesus who's now on that left-hand side. And here's Porro. Porro, wonderful. Oh, it looked initially like it would be a wonderful ball to Brennan Johnson. I think perhaps Johnson was maybe a little bit slow to react to it. But we're going to get 4 minutes stoppage time. Here's Saka. So 4 minutes, about right for you, Johnny?
Yeah, I'd say 4 minutes is about right. Of course, you got the couple of goals, you got the celebrations, and a couple of times we've had a few Arsenal players down injured. So, and now we're seeing a Spurs players going down as well. So I think 4 minutes might be just right. We know the Premier League are adding on more and more time. So to be fair, I think that's a pretty accurate view of proceedings so far.
Well, Robert Jones is just waving his yellow card about for a foul, and I think he's waved it at Sarr, but I think he also waved one at Bissouma. So let's have a look. It's a challenge by Sarr. Well, that's definitely bookable. So Sarr has gone into the book.
Rugby tackle from Sarr there.
Oh, it was indeed. I think it is just.
Udogie got one in the face as well, it looks like.
Yes, he did. Okay, so yes, it's Sarr with the yellow card. I also thought he waved one at Bissouma, but that doesn't seem to be official. So looks like it's just Sarr that got the booking for the rugby tackle on Jesus, and Bissouma is now there with. Oh, Bissouma was indeed shown the yellow card. I assume that is for dissent, and so Bissouma shown the yellow card, and the ball is played long now. Chasing this one is Jesus, but that's just a little bit too far for him, and it goes out of play and will be a goal kick. We're now in stoppage time, and I'm just going to get your assessment to the first half, Johnny. Well, things are quiet here and not much is going on.
Yeah, Arsenal started the better of the two sides, I would say. More possession, more threat, pressing high, and Spurs couldn't really get out of their own half. But just last 10, 15 minutes, Spurs have really come to life. They've shown their pace on the attack, and not just on the break, but also having a few spells of possession as well. And I would say that with the last 15 minutes going the way it has, Spurs deserve to be level in at the break, and that'll be difficult for Arsenal to take. It's always hard when you concede just before the break, but watching Spurs come forward just before they scored, you did feel like a goal was coming, and they got it in the end, and well deserved, I would say. 1-1, probably a fair reflection of the first half.
Thank you, Johnny. And it's a throw in here to be taken by Porto. It's level with his own penalty area. And he finds Sarr. Sarr just gives the ball away to Jesus, but Jesus in turn gives the ball away to Kulusevski. Kulusevski runs the ball out of play. It's going to be a throw into Arsenal now. And it's Zinchenko to take it. Almost level with the Spurs penalty area. Just looking at what options are available. He's trying to steal a few yards under the watchful eye of Robert Jones. Had a quieter game today than what he had at the City Ground on Monday. And the ball goes out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for Spurs. And it's almost down by the corner flag here. And you can see why Basuma was booked, got right in the face of Robert Jones and continued to argue. It's rather a silly booking, really. But here's Arsenal now, and the shot is curled over the bar from Declan Rice. Well, way out of the way that time.
Yeah, it's a wayward effort from Rice. You see what he's trying to do. He's seen the glory, seen the headlights. He's trying to find that top corner, but he's miles away from it. And calling Rosed, we need the ball back.
Well, we just about played the 4 minutes of stoppage time. And so remember that is a minimum amount of time. The referee can add more on if he feels he needs to. Goal kick taken by Vicario downfield. But that's it. The referee has blown for half-time in this North London derby at Ashburton Grove. We had an own goal on 25 minutes by Christian Romero, diverting Bukayo Saka's shot into his own goal. Spurs levelled on 41 minutes from Son Heung-min inside the penalty area, snatching a shot that beat David Raya into his left-hand side off the post. At half-time in Ashburton Grove, it's Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1, all to play for. Russ Vernon.
Thank you very much there to Paul, James, and Johnny Holmes. Excuse me, for their input during that first half of a fantastic game. And like Paul said, it is all to play for at the break. Let's just, before we go through, we'll let Johnny and Paul go through, but let's just fetch Johnny in for a moment. And Johnny, just a quick one with you, my friend, just before we go for a break. Fantastic game we've had so far. If I were to ask you right now, which manager do you think would be the happier of the two, who would you say would be?
100% Postecoglou, I would say, because the first half an hour were all Arsenal, and Arteta will be ruining some of the missed chances there. Vicario played well, made some smart saves, but in the last 10 minutes to show that bounce-back ability in the first half, to get back into the game for Spurs and to claw their way level as they did in the end, I think Postecoglou will be very happy. And of course, that changes the game. If you go in 1-0 behind, your team talk is a lot more difficult than if you go in 1-1. He can say to his players, we're in this game, we can score goals, we've shown it so far, go out, keep doing what you're doing, and we can beat them. And I firmly believe that that's how he'll feel, whereas Arteta now has got to galvanise the troops, he's got to tell them to regroup. That's a harder job from a man management point of view than what Postecoglou has got to do, which is just carry on, lads, we can beat them.
Yes, thank you very much then, Johnny. Go and enjoy your half-time cupboard. And we'll be back with Johnny and Paul very shortly as the second half gets back underway. We're back with them just before the start of the second half, as soon as the players are back out onto the field of play. Before we fetch in Luke to see his thoughts on the first half action. Let's quickly go around the grounds and by myself and tell you how the other scores are getting on in the Premier League today. In the early kickoffs, all kick off at 2 o'clock. These ones, half times, apart from the one at Anfield, so we'll tell you their half time shortly. But at half time of the Amex, Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1. Brighton went behind after 25 minutes through Dominic Solanke's strike set up by Ryan Christie, but a Kurzik own goal in first half stoppage time has brought Brighton level. It's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1 in the Premier League. It is Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0, and at half time is Liverpool 1, West Ham United 1. Mo Salah from the penalty spot on 60 minutes after Salah was brought down inside the penalty area. Jared Bowen scored after Vladimir Sufal slotted, set him up to level on 42 minutes. Liverpool had a goal disallowed for offside in first half stoppage time through Curtis Jones. So at the break at Anfield is Liverpool 1, West Ham United 1. That's just gone to half time there now. Excuse me. In the Championship earlier today, it finished Stoke City 1, Hull City 3. Hull City raced into a 3-goal lead thanks to Connolly, Traore and Slater's goals, but Vidigal pulled one back for Stoke to give them a bit of hope, but it wasn't to be for the Potters. There we'll tell you about the Championship table a bit later on. In French League, there's a full-time score to tell you. Metz 0, Strasbourg 1. Half-time score is Le Havre 2, Clermont 1, and Lens 1, Toulouse 1 as well. A couple of games taking place a little bit later on in that league. In the German Bundesliga, quickly go and tell you the latest score there after 25 minutes is Bayer Leverkusen 1, Ardenheim 0 is the latest score there. In Italian Serie A, a couple of games at half time, one at full time. The full time was Empoli 0, Inter 1, and half time is Atalanta 1, Cagliari 0, and Udinese 0, Fiorentina 1 at the break. 2 games later taking place in that one as well. There's a game taking place in La Liga coming up towards full time in that one is Real Sociedad 3, Getafe 2 after 88 minutes. We'll keep you up to date with that one as well. And half time in the women's international friendlies, Argentina under 19s 0, Colombia 0 as well. We'll keep you up to date with all the other scores that come later on and tell you the full-time scores from the MLS later, some of the other competitions a little bit later on. There's one more Premier League game later, which we won't be covering today. It is Sheffield United against Newcastle United. Now, let's just fetch in Luke Turton on a game which we have been watching. Luke, has been a fantastic match so far. Romero with the own goal to put Arsenal 1-0 in front, but Tottenham levelled brilliantly. Fantastic goal by them just before half time to get back into the game through Young-Min Son. Have you enjoyed that? It's been an enjoyable first half, hasn't it, Lubo? Romero very unlucky with that own goal, first of all.
Yeah, the problem with the Romero goal is there's too much space between Johnson and Udogie, and then Van de Ven further across to allow Saka to have the space to whip that ball towards the corner in the first place. Now it's just deflected off Romero because he's sticking his leg out trying to get it over the bar. Unfortunately, the ball just ricocheted off him and went into the net. So yeah, very unlucky from Romero there.
Yes, and then fantastic goal from Young-Min Son down at the other end. Brennan Johnson involved, look, former Nottingham Forest player, but Edoze, who made a mistake leading up to the Arsenal opener, made amends by setting up Madison, who teed up Young-Min Son for that small finish. But Brennan Johnson, don't forget his involvement. He was unlucky with his initial shot, and then he put the pressure on Rice to keep Tottenham on the front foot and equalise just before half time.
Yeah, I think Brennan will be a bit disappointed in that first half because he had quite a few chances to take put the ball in the net, and he's just been so unlucky with either dropping it into positions where the goalkeeper just is, or it's gone wide, or it's ballooned up in the air. So I think we're a bit disappointed on that one. But Son was just there on Madison's ball across just to slot it into the net, into that far corner, and goes in level. So I think both sides can do better. It's been interesting so far, but they can definitely go up a gear. I think both sides, especially Arsenal.
Yes, and it's been a fantastic match so far. I'm going to ask you the same question which you asked Johnny a few moments ago. Which manager do you see has been the happier of the two managers? Well, do you think it'll be Mikel Arteta, or do you think it'll be Ange Postecoglou who'll be the happier of the two managers at half time?
I think Postecoglou's got to be the happier because basically they've come back from behind and really they've had most of the chances. Arsenal had a few, but not as many as Spurs have had. And I think at the minute, I think Spurs are just about winning the midfield as well. They're getting in there. My worry though is the fact that you've got Adogi, Basuma, and Sarr all on yellow cards going into the second half, and really to have that many of your defensive-minded players on a booking already with 45 to go in a derby is very concerning for me, especially your two central midfielders. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a change in the second half where at least one midfielder comes out just so somebody can make a tackle and not have a risk of a red card.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just looking at these stats from the first half in the North London derby. Possession wise, Tottenham are just edging it. Arsenal 40, Tottenham 60. There've been 3 shots on target from each side, with 7 shots in total. Tottenham are edging it in terms of more touches of the ball, with 343 touches compared to Arsenal's 262. Or they've also had 253 passes to Arsenal's 163. They've made more tackles than Arsenal, with 15 compared to Arsenal's 14. They've made more clearances, 8 to Spurs, 7 to Arsenal's. Arsenal have had more corners, 3 to 1, and there's been more offsides to Tottenham in 2 to 1. So looking at those stats, it's been especially with the shots, it's been a fairly even game, and there's nothing really to split either side at the moment, is there, Luke? Which is why the scores are 1-1.
Yeah, there's nothing really to split it. I just, from watching the game, I just feel like Spurs have edged it a little bit in respect of the actual battles on the field. I think, obviously, 1-1 deadlocked because of the 2 goals, one for either side, and really, yeah, the stats show that nobody's particularly edging it that much. But I just think, really, there's a bit more of an edge for Spurs at the minute, especially going forward.
Yes, if so, what I'm going to ask you now, Luke, we know what the teams are. If I were to look at the Arsenal bench again, and Paul mentioned it to the start, but we've got Ramsdale, Kiwa, Cedric Suarez, Tomiyasu, Smith Rowe, Jorginho, El Nene, Aves, and Nelson. If I were to ask you, out of those ones, which one do you think Arsenal will probably turn to first in terms of trying to create things and get on the front foot a bit more and try and take the game to Tottenham a bit more?
Well, I think he's got to be a player for out wide, so I automatically look to Reece Nelson because I think Jesus won't last the 90. He's still coming back from that injury that he's been out with for some time. So I can definitely see Reece Nelson coming on or Smith Rowe for that position. Wouldn't surprise me if Havertz comes on in the second half and maybe even Jorginho into the midfield just to push Rice further forward, maybe replace Vieira. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot on that bench you can really do. I think Smith Rowe, Nelson, and Havertz are your main offensive options because you're playing both of the strikers already. So it's going to have to be a wide player and somebody just behind that. So I think it all depends on kind of when Mikel Arteta wants to go up a gear, get somebody with a bit more pace out wide, have just one striker in the middle, and then try and go back to what they have been doing instead of playing the 2 strikers but one slightly wider because I just don't think that's working. They're definitely missing Trossard or Martinelli today, for definite.
Yes, and you mentioned about Tottenham need probably taking out one of their midfielders who was already on a booking in this after that first half. And if you look at the options that have got on the bench who can play in that defensive midfield role, we've got Oliver Skip, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, we've got Eric Dyer, although more recently he's been playing as a defender, as a centre back. So they've only really got Oliver Skip or Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to come on and play in that midfield role. If I were to ask you, Luke, which of those are out of Skip and Højbjerg, if you was Ange Postecoglou, which one would you put when you're taking the midfielder off? Which one of those two players would you probably fetch on first to play in this game and this sort of an occasion?
Well, I think I'd look more for Højbjerg because he's more experienced, and I think if you're taking off Saar, you can stick on. If it's Saar that comes off, I think you put Skip on. But I think if Basuma comes off, you put Højbjerg on. I think that's the way the metric probably works. So you've got a youth player and an experienced player together. I think if you're putting two experienced players together or two younger players together, that's when it can get a little bit sketchy in the middle of the park. But I think yeah, I'd say probably Højbjerg for me for Basuma.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. Then we're almost ready for the second half shortly. We'll bring you the second half very, very soon in this game. Just to tell you that is just reading some of the stuff from the other matches at half time and some interesting stuff there. I've just seen a photo that David Raya enjoyed Arsenal taking the lead with a big smile and a big two fist bumps towards the Arsenal fans behind his goal when Arsenal took the lead. And I'm just seeing the save here, which he managed to claw away from Brennan Johnson. Looked like he was going to go into the back of the net, but fantastic diving save, because as soon as Johnson hit it, was the other side of the goal. The players are back out ready for the second half now. So we'll get ready to hand back over to your match commentary team for the second half. And first is Johnny Arms. But first, Paul James, back over to you for the second half, my friend.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Luke. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back, Johnny. Arsenal now just coming out onto the field as well. Spurs already out there. So I wonder whether it looks like there is going to be some changes. Jorginho and Havertz is going to be coming on, and we're just trying to see who's coming off. So it's Declan Rice is coming off, and we'll just see who the other one is in a moment. But it looks like it's two half-time substitutions by the Arsenal here. Let's just see who the other one is coming off right now. Jorginho is on, and we're just trying to figure out who the other guy is that has come off. So yes, it is Declan Rice and Fabio Vieira. So that's we'll run through the Arsenal lineup in a moment. And Johnny, your thoughts on those substitutions?
Yeah, it's a very interesting decision from Arteta. He's clearly got a game plan, but I understand the Vieira one. He's been showing signs of injury. He was limping towards the end of that half and staying down in every tackle. But Declan Rice coming off is an intriguing one. He didn't seem to be showing any signs of injury or any issues, so that must be a tactical decision. And to bring Jorginho on for Rice is an intriguing decision. Are they trying to get a bit more bite in attack rather than having the pivot that Rice tends to play? But Rice is capable of going forward as well. I'm a bit intrigued by that one, and we'll see what Havertz can do, because it's not been a great start to his Arsenal career, has it, so far?
No, not really. Here's Zinchenko. Arsenal are attacking the goal to our left in this second half, and here's Jesus. Jesus now still out on that far side. He's under pressure there by Sarr, and the ball goes behind for a goal kick. So I'll just run through the lineups now for both teams, starting with Arsenal. David Raya in goal, Alexander Zinchenko, Gabriel, William Saliba, Ben White, It's now Jorginho and Havertz and Odegaard in the midfield, Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus and Saka. Spurs are as you were from the beginning. Vicario in goal, Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Bissouma, Matassar, Son Heung-min, Maddison, Kulusevski and Johnson. And the ball is played forward there, looking to chase down Kulusevski. And the linesman's flag has gone up, and we are going to have a free kick. And Gabriel is the one going to take it, and it's just say about 10 yards outside the penalty area, the Arsenal penalty area, and it's going to be Jesus that's going to launch this ball forward. He decides not to do that. Instead, he goes right back to David Raya, and Raya now under pressure from Son Heung-min, and it was almost a panicking clearance by David Raya. And Johnson attempted to take that ball down, but it went out of play, and the throw-in is taken quickly, rather too quickly, I think, for the officials, from the officials' perspective. And that is going to be taken again. And Kai Havertz on, and as Johnny said, it's not been a great start to Kai Havertz's career at Arsenal. I think they brought him in the expectation that they might play him in his more favoured position. Certainly for Germany, he's operating in both a number 9 role and a sort of an attacking midfielder role as well. And he's not had much success there, it has to be said. But let's see how his career at Arsenal settles. Here is Saliba, and it is Gabriel. Gabriel plays the ball down this side to Jesus, who once again is in the left forward position. He drops it back to Gabriel. Here's Zinchenko, and it's given to Kai Havertz now. Havertz gives the ball to Jesus. Jesus dropped back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko across there to Saliba. Saliba's got options. Oh, it's a poor ball by Saliba, and now Spurs can break out. And here's Brennan Johnson, and he's got Son Heung-min with him, and so is James Maddison. And Johnson just overruns it. He's fortunate to keep possession. Johnson just pulls the ball back there to Udogie, and here's Van de Ven. Van de Ven down this near side to Romero. Romero on the halfway line. Oh, long ball over the top, chasing this one is Maddison. He's just not able to bring it down. He may have been in an offside position. And, well, Arsenal can now break out. It's Jorginho. Jorginho gives the ball over to Saka. Saka's got Udogie in front of him. Is he going to run it and try and force a challenge out of him? Saka just holds the ball up there with Udogie. Udogie certainly not lunging in, and that's a good challenge by Udogie, and goes behind for a corner, Johnny.
Brennan Johnson, in the last passage of play, had a chance. He was running one-on-one with the Arsenal right back there, and he had a chance, he had an option to play it inside. He had Son Heung-min in company. He also had Maddison, I believe, to try and slip in, and instead decided to go alone, which I don't think was the right decision. Brennan Johnson perhaps could have slipped another Spurs player in and gone for goal.
Corner coming in, and it's headed on by Havertz, and can he turn there? White is claiming a penalty. In fact, there's several Arsenal players. It comes back to Odegaard, and it's blocked. It's going to go behind it. In fact, there's several Arsenal players surrounding the official.
Big shouts for a penalty. Big shouts. Surely this is going to VAR.
Well, let's have a look. He brings it down. Does White? Oh, that's a penalty.
Oh,
that's
definitely.
A penalty.
His hand is in a very unnatural position, and it's out away from his body. It smashes into his wrist. I would be absolutely gobsmacked if this isn't given. I know it's different in the Premier League. I was watching the Bayern Munich-Manchester United game in midweek, and a penalty was given for a much less blatant handball than that. Surely.
Yeah. Yeah, looking at it now, his hand moved towards the ball as well. That's a penalty for me. They're looking at it now in the VAR booth. But Johnny, you and me are in agreement. Penalty, yes?
Surely. The only thing I'm seeing now on the replay, I don't know if they're showing this to the referee, but did Ben White also handle the ball when he brought it down? Are they going to check that possibly for a foul in the build-up? Because it looked like it might have struck. And there's also a Spurs, but is that Maddison going down as well? They're possibly going to look and see if there was a foul before the handball. If we take the handball in isolation, it's no doubt a penalty. But does White control that with his hand? And is there a foul in the build-up, is the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Looking at the first replay, I don't think White did control it with his hand. I think you might have something on the foul though on Madison. He could have. I mean, they've got multiple things to look at. This is going to be a long delay. We're going to see now what the referee is going to do.
Is he going to go to the monitor here?
He is. He's going to go to have a look at the monitor. He's Robert Jones. This is a big decision. Obviously, then VAR have looked at the possible handball for White, which you mentioned, and the foul on Madison, which is also a possibility. Let's have a look.
I mean, straight away from that angle, if that's the only angle they're going to show the referee, he's going to give this stone wall. If we're just taking that penalty incident, that handball, and isolating it from the rest of the phase of play, there is no doubt that the referee is going to point to the spot here in my mind.
Well, he's taking a long time to look at it.
Is it a possible red card, Paul? There's another discussion we haven't had yet. Is he denying a blatant goal? Is that a red card?
It could be, because there's nobody else on the goal line, is there?
Yeah, penalty given. Penalty has been given.
Yeah, the penalty's given. And it's Romero. I don't think he can have any complaints, but the question is now whether or not what further action is the referee going to take here, if any at all. Technically, he should at least book him.
You'd think so. I think a red might be a bit harsh because it's so close to him when the shot is fired in. And Postecoglou's not happy, is he? He's got a wry smile. He's shaking his head. But the ball definitely strikes the outstretched arm of Romero, who is it's an unnatural position for his arm to be in. It should be kept down. He's applauding the officials there. He's got to be careful here. But yeah, no card seems to be drawn, possibly just for the fact that it was so close to him. But Saka will now stand over this penalty.
It's Bukayo Saka to step up and take this one. Is up against Vicario. It's a long build-up. That's a long wait for Saka. Saka now steps up against Vicario. Here we go. And just waiting here. Here's Bukayo Saka. He steps up and he puts it down the middle. Saka goes to the right-hand side, but Bukayo Saka goes down the middle and puts in the goal. If the first goal was in doubt, there's definitely no doubt about the second. 53rd minute, and a penalty for Bukayo Saka gives Arsenal the 2-1 lead at Ashburton Grove, and the substitutions seem to have paid dividends so far, Johnny.
Absolutely, and it's the correct decision. We've seen a lot of controversy when VAR is getting involved. That's the right decision. Romero can shake his head all he likes, but what a terrible day for him so far. An own goal as it's gone down, and a penalty given away completely correctly. There's no doubt the ball strikes his outstretched hand, and Saka puts it away. I'm surprised the officials didn't see it in real time. I'm surprised the referee didn't give it immediately, and that is an example of a good use of VAR. We don't see that very often, but it has come into effect there positively. Arsenal given a deserved lead through that penalty. I think they've been marginally the better side in this second half.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. Just an update on the Rice substitution as well, Johnny. It appears Rice has injured his left calf.
I see. That makes more sense. I wouldn't understand why, from a tactical perspective, you'd replace Jorginho with Rice. I don't see how that would change the game. But an injury, that makes sense. And we're just seeing a still image here of that penalty decision. Yeah, his hand is so far away from his torso. You have to give those. I don't think the referee has any other decision.
Oh, just to interrupt there for a moment. Here's Madison. Madison plays it into Son. And just like that, Spurs are level.
Can you believe it? Immediately from the kickoff as well, and Spurs about level through Son. You couldn't write it.
Oh, my goodness me. Well, Arsenal take the lead for the penalty, and right from kickoff, the ball is given away to James Maddison, and Maddison just plays in Son. Arsenal, it has to be said, Johnny, fell asleep. Yes, you took the words from my mouth.
Oh, I can't believe it. The one thing you have to do when you score a goal, when you've worked so hard for it as well, you don't switch off straight from the kickoff. It's a Sunday league golden rule of football, especially when you're at home. Don't fall asleep. Make sure that you hold on to that lead, and they've thrown it away immediately. It's poor work on the ball from Arsenal here, passing it about at the back, and that's maybe the second or third time that we've seen an Arsenal player robbed in possession, and this time Spurs make it count straight off the kickoff.
Yes, it's a dreadful error by Jorginho here. Far too long on the ball. Far too long on the ball. Dreadful error.
I
And
mean, would Declan Rice make that mistake, Paul? Would Declan Rice give the ball away in that position?
well, it's if thans or maybes, but I think in reality probably not. It's a poor mistake, and now Spurs are back in the game, and Arsenal know the effect of this. They scored themselves straight from a Manchester United goal last week, and the yellow card has now been distributed here to somebody. I'm not sure who. Looks like it's to Kai Havertz. And that is, and again, that is not good from him either because he's only just come on. And you'll see it here. Oh, that is
Oh, it's
a
so late.
senseless challenge. Senseless.
So late. I mean, if if he's got his studs down, then he'll avoid VAR action for the red card. But it's a reckless, rash challenge. That is, I mean, if there's such thing as an orange card, then that would be it, because that's a late, reckless, out of control tackle, and no wonder Son stayed down for a bit longer.
Yeah, it was senseless challenge by Havertz. Completely. He's only been on the pitch 10 minutes. Here is Porro now. Porro plays the ball forward. Chasing this one is Kulishevsky, but good work by Gabriel. He cuts across Kulishevsky. Kulishevsky catches him, and the assistant on this near side waves the flag to give the free kick. And, well, 2-2. And I just wonder how and what Mikel Arteta is thinking right now. He's got to be very, very frustrated inside, getting the lead and then conceding it so cheaply. And Raya now with the free kick. And the ball is played long, and chasing this one back is Romero. He's under pressure from Havertz. Havertz has to be careful now. He's not able to make the challenge there. Romero turns away, and the ball is cleared away, but only as far as Jesus. Jesus tries to cut inside. Jesus is claiming a handball. The referee says no. And Havertz, I think, has to be careful here. The late challenge there is what I've seen of Havertz is sometimes his tackling leaves much to be desired.
Absolutely. And if you're trying to rectify a career that hasn't started particularly well at your new club, of course, made that move across London from Chelsea, never really got firing, did he, in the blue of Chelsea? But of course, scored that memorable winner in the Champions League final. But since coming to Arsenal, he's looked out of sorts. He hasn't recaptured any of the form that he showed maybe in the early days of his Chelsea career, although he did stutter quite early on at Chelsea as well. Is this just a repeat, a rinse and repeat of Kai Havertz at Chelsea? Who knows? But you're absolutely right. He needs to stop diving into these tackles as Arsenal reclaim possession of the ball.
Here's Saliba. Saliba just drops the ball back to David Raya. David Raya launches the ball long, and it only goes out of play. It's going to be a throw-in. You're listening to alternative commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel, brought to you today as well by Turton Talks Football. Commentary Services is the official player of the match sponsor on the Hub. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports and Storm FM. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Commentary Hub. Also, if you like what you see on Turton Talks Football, please subscribe as well. And Arsenal now have the ball. It goes all the way back to David Raya. And Raya just plays the ball out here to Jorginho, who made that critical error. Jorginho drops the ball to Saliba. Saliba is just spending a little bit of time on the ball here. I can't help thinking as well, Johnny, I don't know your thoughts on this, but I can't help thinking as well that if Spurs pressed a little bit more on this Arsenal defence, they might have some joy, because they've not looked at their best today. Here's White. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. White just gives the ball to Saka. Saka just cuts inside and he gets the ball back there, but that goes behind for a goal kick. Your thoughts on that one, Johnny?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. We saw that once Spurs started to press the Arsenal defence, particularly Jorginho in that instance, they got their just rewards out of it, got the second goal immediately from the kickoff. So maybe that's something that Postecoglou might start to gesticulate towards his players. Look, if we get at this defence, we can, force them into some mistakes. Something else I've wanted to point out as well is a lot was made of the Kane and Son partnership, of course, the most successful goal-scoring partnership partnership in terms of assists and goals between the two of them. They're top of the all-time Premier League list. But today we've seen 2 assists from James Maddison and 2 goals for Son Heung-min. Are we seeing the replacement, James Maddison, really stepping up to the fore and doing what Harry Kane used to do and put a lot of good service in for Son here? Well, it's something worth considering, and we'll see how that partnership flourishes, as I believe, Paul, we've got a break in play here.
Yeah, action on the Spurs bench. Manus Solomon is about ready to come on. Brennan Johnson is down, so it would be a like-for-like swap. Manus Solomon, who's made his name at Fulham, is now made the move across London to Tottenham, and the Israeli international has been very impressive. And as we just look again at that goal.
Look
By
at
Spurs.
Arteta. Look at Arteta. He knows how crucial that is. You work so hard to go ahead, and he's there, head in hands, as he watches that Son finish dribble into the back of the net. It's a lovely side-footed finish, but it's not what Arteta wanted to see. All that hard work undone, and Son riling up the crowd there. He knows how much this means to the away support who have travelled across London. And is this a substitution, a forced substitution here for the man who made his first start today for the club, Brennan Johnson?
Yeah, unfortunate for him. He has gone off, and Manus Solomon has come on in his stead. So we see Spurs' first substitution, and it's enforced. That's cleared away by Vicario as the game is back underway. Jesus climbing all over, the referee hasn't seen that. I don't know how he's failed to see that.
All over the top of him there. I'm surprised the referee's not given anything. Maybe he wants this game to flow a little bit as Arsenal reclaim possession and look to come forward here.
Here's Jesus, but he's dispossessed now, and Tottenham streaming forward with James Maddison. Maddison played across to Son, back to Maddison with a shot. It's a disappointing effort, well over the crossbar, and he has rather a disgusted look on his face. But I cannot understand the referee didn't call that one. It was all over. Jesus was all over him there. I think that was. I don't know how you missed that, but he did miss it. And now Arsenal, Jorginho gives the ball back to Saliba. Here's Martin Odegaard, being auspiciously quiet today, Martin Odegaard, Johnny.
He hasn't really got into the game as much as we would have expected. I mean, early on, first half, he looked dangerous, had a few dead ball opportunities as a long ball is pinged that way to Jesus. Did he use his hand there, Paul? I think he did. It's come back. But yeah, Odegaard not really being at the races so far today, but all it takes is one little pass to unlock the defence, or one chance, maybe from a dead ball, maybe from distance. Long way to go yet, but so far doesn't seem to be pulling the strings in the way that Mikel Arteta would have liked so far. Spurs looking like they are the side in the ascendancy. Have they got the momentum, perhaps, after that goal was gifted to them just after Arsenal went 2-1 in front?
Well, we'll certainly see. And here's Porro now. He has the throw-in. Mikel Arteta now is cutting the look of a very, very frustrated man. And well, he might. Porro with a throw-in. And under pressure there from Odegaard. And Jesus plays it off Porro. But it's going to be a throw-in to Arsenal. And it's Alexander Zinchenko to take it. And just see if Arsenal can regain the lead here. It's certainly been a very interesting game so far. It's been very absorbing, lots of goals and excitement. It's back on the halfway line here with Gabriel. And Gabriel now just cutting into his own half. He's going to go all the way back to David Raya. Raya now finds Odegaard. Odegaard drops it back to Saliba. Saliba. And he's just looking at what options he's got available. He gives it to Odegaard. Odegaard goes back to Raya, and Arsenal building up from the back again. And here's Gabriel. Gabriel plays the ball forward, and getting in there is the number 17 for Tottenham, Cristiano Romero, and eventually goes back to David Raya. But the referee has seen an infringement, and it's going to be a free kick to Tottenham for the foul on Dejan Kulusevski. Just take a look at this again. And yes, it's by Gabriel. Kulusevski goes down very easily, but as you know, these days, making any sort of contact can give away a free kick. But over this one is Maddison and Porro, and Arsenal again with quite a high line here, Johnny. I'll get your thoughts on this in a moment, as James Maddison is about ready to swing this one in. And the Arsenal players just lined up on the edge of the 18-yard box there. Maddison swings it in, and it's just headed away there, but only as far as Manor Solomon. Solomon has got Saka in front of him. Solomon cuts inside. Swung in by Solomon. Comfortable pluck out of the air, though, by David Raya. And Johnny, what did you think about that? A bit of a soft free kick?
I thought it was the correct decision. It's a slightly late challenge. It's just a little toe poke on the shin. And, they get given these days. If you make contact, sort of below the knee at close quarters and you don't get the ball, you are going to give away a free kick. A bit of a silly free kick to give away in that position because the ball was already on its way to petering out towards David Raya. But as there's a late challenge there, is that Saka who's going to go into the referee's book with a really late challenge on the goalkeeper?
Yeah, that was very late, and it's a good job his Nketiah, actually. It's a good job his studs were down, because that would have been...
Could have been, if his studs are up there, it's a straight red for Nketiah. It's a rash challenge, and, Vicario is well within his rights to make the most out of this. Let's see it again. Oh, it's late, isn't it? His studs are up. His studs are up.
They are too. They are too.
If he catches his leg there with his studs, that's a straight red.
Yeah, so perhaps Nketiah lucky to perhaps get away with a yellow there. Again, as you rightly said, Johnny, if the studs were there, if the studs connected, that's definitely a red. Here is Sarr. Sarr just wins the ball back, but it's a foul given by referee Robert Jones. And for the second time in as many games, Robert Jones has had to make a VAR decision. No doubt about this one for sure. Here's Kulishevsky, but Zinchenko gets in the way of that, plays the ball forward. Under pressure is Nketiah. It's actually fouled there by Basuma, and it's going to be a free kick for the Gunners. About 10 yards inside the Spurs half of the field, and challenge from behind there, but Zinchenko is going to take it. Takes it quickly, and Havertz loses possession. Maybe he didn't get the shout, but Sarr's on the way now for Spurs. He's got Kulishevsky up alongside him. Kulishevsky. Let's see what he does. He's plays the ball in for Son on the hat-trick! And he plays it into the side netting. Oh, what a chance for Son to get the hat-trick against its North London rivals. And, at the moment, clutching his knee there is James Maddison, and this is very worrying for Spurs. He's clutching the back of his knee there. That looks serious.
It's not what you want to see as a Spurs fan. I mean, we were speaking earlier, weren't we? And is it just... Oh, yes, you can see he's landed awkwardly on that leg. Oh, that could be a sprain. Look at this. He lands... Oh, yeah, that's horrible. He lands really awkwardly and sort of bends the wrong way with the leg. I mean, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about how Spurs need to press and put pressure on the Arsenal back line or just through the midfield as well. And Maddison has done that, and he nearly got a reward by getting Spurs a goal, but he's also taken some real punishment by doing it because that looks like a bad injury, and they don't want to lose him, do they?
No, they absolutely do not. He's been very effective today. He's definitely controlled the midfield, and you'll have a tough choice in about 15-20 minutes time, Johnny, because you'll be required and called upon to give the player of the match. So I think you've got a tough choice today, my friend.
I do, and it might be affected by how long James Maddison stays on the pitch here because, if he keeps going the way he's going, he's going to be a contender for that award, but we've got some players warming up for Spurs to probably replace him. Oh, that's really tough to see. Let's hope he's not out for too long from a Spurs perspective, and it's a shame that the injury comes from doing some really good work, robbing Arsenal of the ball and setting in motion this attack, which possibly Son could have done better with. It's a great ball across, isn't it, by Kulusevski?
Well, it's picked out Son perfectly there. He'll be disappointed. He'll see that as a chance and as someone of Son's capability. Yes, Maddison is on his feet again, which is good to see. It looks like he is coming back on. He's just waiting for the word from Robert Jones, I think. So it looks like he's going to go on and see how long he can go on for. Obviously, the corner is now going to come in for for Spurs, and it's going to be taken by Porro. Looks like he's going to outswing this one. It's not the best corner, and it's headed out there by Gabriel, but Porro will have another chance now. Porro swings the ball in, and David Raya, that's a comfortable one for him to just pluck out of the air. And with 19 minutes left to go here at Ashburton Grove, Arsenal are now coming forward over the halfway line. Here's Martin Odegaard. Odegaard gives the ball to Havertz, to Zinchenko. And Maddison is now back on the field.
Great
Seems
to
to be
see.
running a bit more freely. Yes, indeed, Johnny. Absolutely. Great to see. Here's Jorginho. And Jorginho just runs into James Maddison and turns his back on him and goes back into the Arsenal half of the field. Here's David Raya. And Son chasing down David Raya there. The ball is played forward, and Eddie Nketiah is chasing that, but he's not going to make it. The ball goes out of play. And I will just complete my marketing duties for the day. You're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel, also brought to you today by Turton Talks Football. Commentary Services is the official player of the match sponsor on the Hub. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports and Storm FM. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Commentary Hub. Please also subscribe to Turton Talks Football if you like what you see, or hear in this case. Here is Sarr going back to Vicario, and that's a tricky one for Vicario to chase back. He makes it there, but only gets it out of play. It's a throw into Arsenal, level with the Spurs penalty area. Here's Zinchenko, and it's back to Jesus. And can Havertz get the cross in? No, that's a fine challenge by Romero. Right in there on Havertz, no messing about. It's going to be a corner to the Arsenal, though.
He's got some making up to do, hasn't he, Romero? He gave the goal away for the first one, the deflection. A bit unlucky, but it's an own goal. And then the penalty, of course, that he gave away for having his hand away from his body. Good tackle there, though, on his way to redeeming himself.
Corner to be taken by Martin Odegaard. Of course, normally Martinelli would take it on this side, but is still injured. The corner comes in. It's flicked up in the air. Going up there is Vicario, who takes it very, very well. The Italian has been in sparkling form today. And here is Maddison almost loses the ball to Nketiah there. He had to turn to make that challenge, and Romero now. Romero plays the ball forward there to Porro. Porro plays it across to Maddison. Maddison under pressure. Plays a good ball out to Kulusevski. And Kulusevski plays to Porro. Porro's got Son in the middle. Good challenge by Gabriel, because if he'd have got that ball across, Son was there. But just a comment there, Johnny. Excellent ball by James Maddison, wasn't it?
Lovely ball by Maddison. Comes back onto the pitch, luckily, after that injury. And then, I tell you what, that's a fantastic, fantastic block there. Because if that ball gets square to Son Heung-min in that position, he was completely unmarked. He was completely free. I'd have bet my house on him getting a hat-trick there. But fantastic cut-out bit of defensive work there.
Corner now to Spurs. And it's going to be Porro that's going to take it. It's going to be another outswing. His last one wasn't great. And now he's the official is Robert Jones is booking somebody here. Looks like he is booking Romero.
Just gets worse and worse for Christian Romero today, doesn't it?
Oh,
A goal, an own goal, a penalty given away, and now into the book. I tell you what, the only thing that could make this worse, am I tempting fate by saying this? If he gets sent off today, that's possibly one of the worst afternoons of his career.
Yeah, quite possibly, but he's in the box now. He might be able to turn it round by maybe heading in a goal. He's being marked by Jesus at the moment, as those two having a conversation. Sarr there, Son as well, looking for his hat-trick. It's outswung, and the header was coming in there by Maddison. Bounces up in the air. Here's Kulusevski. Kulusevski is dispossessed, and Saka tries to send Odegaard on his way, but Kulusevski read it well and won the ball back. And here is Sarr. Gives the ball out to Kulusevski. Kulusevski's got Son overlapping. Is Kulusevski going to pull it back to Sarr? He is. Sarr still has it, but his pass is a disappointing one, and Arsenal can now come away with the ball. And a fine challenge there by Basuma. Well, it looked okay to me.
I think the ref may have given the first. I think the initial challenge from Basuma was a foul, and then he clattered in and made a great challenge, as you pointed out, on the second one. I think it's the first one the referee might have given there.
Yeah. Well, that's quite possible, but Arsenal are also, there's some action on the Arsenal bench there as they are looking to ready another substitution. And it looks like it'll be Reece Nelson is readying himself to come on. But here's Jesus for Arsenal. Jesus beats two, gives the ball there to Jorginho. Jorginho slips the ball to Odegaard. So dangerous from those positions. A cross comes in from Ben White, and it's a comfortable take by Vicario. And just see here. Jorginho played the ball there to Odegaard. Odegaard played the ball and the cross came in, but
It's
it
a
was kind
poor
of a
cross.
yeah.
Jesus has stolen a yard on his man there. If Ben White can direct that cross beyond the goalkeeper there for Tottenham Hotspur Vicario, then he could well have picked out Jesus in a brilliant position. As here comes Nketiah.
Nketiah tries to get the cross in, but that's a good piece of defending again by Romero, and it's going to be another corner. I don't know if we're going to see that substitution now. Looks like we're also going to see Richarlison, as there is action on the Spurs bench, and also Højbjerg is possibly coming on, and Reece Nelson coming on. So it's Jesus coming off for Reece Nelson, which Luke called at half time. 77 minutes there for Jesus, who's coming off. And we may be seeing Højbjerg and Richarlison shortly for Spurs as well. And it is Højbjerg and Richarlison, and it is Son Heung-min and James Maddison are the substitutes for are the ones coming off for Tottenham. So just to reiterate, Son Heung-min and James Maddison for Richarlison and Højbjerg. Are you surprised by that, Johnny, given the fact that Son Heung-min is playing so well and so is James Maddison?
I mean, they're both on a hat-trick. Maddison a hat-trick of assists and Son Heung-min a hat-trick in itself. So I am very surprised by that decision. Maddison maybe less so. He is limping off a little bit. He's trudging, maybe struggling with that injury we saw him pick up earlier. But Son looks still raring to go. He still looks up for the fight, and you know, if anyone's got a goal in them, it's Son. But I tell you what, looking at it on the other side, we've heard a lot in the press about Richarlison recently. We saw him crying on the bench after missing a sitter for his country. If there's any way to make amends with your supporters, it's to score the winning goal in the North London derby against your bitter, bitter rivals. Richarlison now, can he step forward and do what Son was looking to do and get the third goal for Spurs?
Well, it certainly would be a fairy tale for Richarlison if he did. And here's Van de Ven. And he's got the ball back now. He's got Højbjerg there with him, the substitute. Here, Van de Ven goes forward and just slips the ball there to Manus Solomon. Solomon just drops the ball back, and it's helped along by Bissouma to the goalkeeper. And it's now given to Romero, who is still on the field despite his performance today. He plays it long, and it goes all the way through to Gabriel. And it's a free kick from the foul from Richarlison. And Richarlison's first input into this match is to commit a foul on Gabriel. And here's Saliba, who's just looking for options. Saliba just tries to pull away, and he goes on the far side to Bukayo Saka. In front of him is Udogie. And Saka just plays it in, just away from Odegaard, and now Sarr is able to pick up the ball. And it's a good ball by Sarr to Kulusevski. That is superb. And right in front of Kulusevski now is Gabriel. Kulusevski plays it there to, it's back now to Sarr. And Sarr is to Romero. Romero has got the ball in front of him. He's just a good ball down that side there to Højbjerg. Højbjerg has got Manus Solomon on the far side. He does find Solomon. Solomon gives it to Udogie. Udogie has got Saliba in front of him. He just tries to turn away from Saliba, does Udogie. And he plays it off Saka, and it goes out of play for a throw-in to Spurs. And looking at this right now with 10 minutes left, would you say Spurs are the more likely team to score at this stage,
I would
Johnny?
say, I would absolutely say that Spurs have looked the more likely over the last 5-10 minutes, ever since they scored that goal. And it just shows once again, we have to reiterate how important it was that Arsenal didn't switch off after scoring that first goal. But of course they did. They allowed Spurs to equalise and once again gifted momentum back to the boys in the white and blue. And they're taking full advantage and looking to go on the attack. And Arsenal haven't really offered anything in the last 5-10 minutes.
And the ball is laid long there looking for Solomon. Good work by him, but Ben White manages to dispossess him. And here's Ben White into Jorginho. Jorginho slips the ball to Odegaard, and Odegaard's pass to Saka is wayward, and it's comfortably dealt with by Van der Ven. And it goes back to Vicario in the Spurs goal. We have 9 minutes to go at Ashburton Grove. It's Arsenal 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2, and the ball is played long by Vicario. It goes over everybody and out of play for a throw-in, which Ben White will take quickly. He finds Martin Odegaard. Odegaard to Saka. Saka back to Jorginho. Good ball by Jorginho for Eddie Nketiah, but Romero cleans up well there. And it's again launched forward by Højbjerg. Chasing it down is Manor Solomon, but just watching that ball go out of play is William Saliba, and it's going to be a throw-in to Arsenal midway inside their own half of the field. It's going to be taken by Ben White. He's just looking at what options he has available. And it's won back by Bissouma. It's a poor throw-in by White, and Højbjerg is dispossessed by Jorginho. And the ball breaks loose now for Manor Solomon. Can Saliba get across there? He can. Saliba gets across there and just plays the ball forward. And Arsenal now with Bukayo Saka. He's dispossessed though that time. And the ball is out on the far side again to Solomon. Solomon cuts inside the penalty area, tries to. Good work by William Saliba. Got an early advantage there over Solomon. Saliba trying to get away, but good work by Bissouma.
Brilliant work by Bissouma.
Yes. Udogie now has got Saka in front of him, and Saka just gets the better of Udogie that time. Odegaard comes over to help. Ben White just gives the ball to Kai Havertz. And Havertz is going to get dispossessed if he's not careful, but he does well there to keep a hold of the ball. And in fact, it's a foul. Good build-up play there by Tottenham, Johnny.
Yeah, I think that Spurs are definitely in the ascendancy at this moment in time. I also want to highlight there Kai Havertz. Probably the best thing he's done all match there was to wriggle away from 2 or 3 players under pressure and win a free kick. We have to sing his praises when he does something well, I suppose. We haven't seen much of a spark from him so far in this match. He hasn't really made any difference whatsoever, but a good passage of play there. But Spurs, again, as soon as the ball breaks down or any 50-50s are there to be won, the ball is being recycled by the away side, by Tottenham Hotspur, and they are dominating the ball at the moment. Can they do anything with it? They're coming forward now.
Here's Sarr, and it's dropped back to Romero. Spurs now dominating possession with 58%, and Porro just gives it to Richarlison. Richarlison loses the ball now, and Arsenal can come away. Here's Odegaard. Odegaard dropped back there to the number 2 William Saliba. And there's White, plays it forward to Bukayo Saka. Saka over the halfway line. Here's Odegaard. He's got options in front of him. He finds Reece Nelson. Nelson cuts across. He's got a shooting chance here as Nelson. He takes a shot, but it takes a deflection off Bissouma and goes over for a corner. But a sighted goal there for Nelson, Johnny.
The first sight of goal for Arsenal in well over 15-20 minutes. They haven't really been in this match as of late, but suddenly a flash forward, a chance for Nelson. A bit of a half chance from distance, but he drives it with power. And when those balls deflect, they can go anywhere. They can loop up high and dip down, and they're always difficult for goalkeepers. Luckily for Vicario, this one didn't quite drop down in time, and it looped behind for a corner. Can Arsenal make something happen? They've been off the boil for the last 10 minutes.
Corner to come in by Bukayo Saka, and it's swung in there. Everyone up. It's bouncing around there, and it almost falls to Nketiah, and it just misses him, but it nearly fell to Nketiah on the back post there. It was a very, very good corner. Swung in, caused all kinds of havoc, and Nketiah not quite there. If it was a little bit further forward, he'd have had a little bit of a tapping on the back post there.
Yeah, into a really dangerous area. It's a brilliant corner, as you say. Saka whipping it in. And it's gone for another corner, in fact. And this one's going to be dealt with fairly easily, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Sarr is just trying to get a whirl there, but a good challenge by Saka. So in about 3 minutes, Johnny, I'm going to be asking you for your player of the match. So have a think. And I know it's a tough call for you today.
It's a tough call today. I've got a few candidates. I'm just going to work it out one last time. I think I'm pretty sure who I'm going to go for. But we've seen a few decent performances out there, but also a few underwhelming ones. Players that you'd expect to step up and, stand up to be counted, but haven't really. We mentioned Odegaard earlier. Hasn't really done much. I don't think Declan Rice was able to get a grip of the game when he was on. We haven't really seen too much of Kulusevski in this game, apart from a few good touches in the final third. As Arsenal come forward now.
Just cleared away to the edge of the area to Kai Havertz with a shot. Well, his first sight on goal for the German, and he blazes it over the crossbar, and he looks incredibly frustrated with himself.
He's blazed it over, hasn't he? It's sat up beautifully for him. One of those that pings up off the surface. You can chest it down. You can let it bounce. He was under a little bit of pressure, in fact. We had a Spurs player sliding in to try and take his eye, if anything, just take his eye off the shot. But yeah, when you have a chance to chest down, let it drop and strike them on the bounce, they usually sit up quite well as the ball loops off Nketiah into the gloves of Vicario there.
Yes, it's Vicario launches the ball downfield. Long throw by him. It was just won back by Kai Havertz, but it goes back now to Højbjerg. Højbjerg just trying to turn. He gets the ball back, does Højbjerg, and tries to create some chance now for Spurs. Højbjerg tries to play the ball forward. Chasing this one is Udogie. Fine challenge by William Saliba, Johnny. Wonderful challenge.
Brilliant tackle. It's the right ball. It's the right man. It's the right effort there. But it's a wonderful, wonderful sliding challenge, as you say. And that, again, if Saliba doesn't make that tackle, Spurs are in behind. It's a fantastic sliding challenge. We've seen a few of those today, haven't we? And it's good old-fashioned sliding tackles in this good old-fashioned fixture.
Oh yes, it's certainly been that. Now the ball is with Odegaard now. Odegaard tries to play through Nketiah, and over there is Romero, but Nketiah turns away from Romero. Here's Nelson, and he plays the ball and drops it back here now to Zinchenko. He's got options available there. And there's Reece Nelson. Ball. Now it's in the penalty area. Reece Nelson, can he get the crossing? Oh, good challenge by Porro for a corner. But that was a wonderful ball, Johnny, wasn't it?
Zinchenko there finds his man. He gets the ball under control and slings it out to the left-hand side. And now Arsenal making a push. It's a reverse of the first half. It was Spurs that came in late in the first half. Could Arsenal do the same thing here in the second half? They're pushing. They've got another corner.
Reece Nelson swings it in, and it's just headed up into the air. And, well, it was chasing that one in there was Gabriel, but it's cleared away. And here is Sarr. Sarr just gives the ball to Bissouma. Bissouma just turns away there and drops the ball to Romero. Romero, good pass that time to Højbjerg. Højbjerg, long ball over on the far side. Chasing this one is Richarlison. He's got Saliba in front of him. Richarlison just drops the ball back here, and it's Udogie. Udogie is under pressure from Martin Odegaard. Great work by Udogie. He goes down, he's claiming the free kick, but actually him clattering into Saka, and Saka looks in a lot of pain. And,
he's on a yellow, Udogie. He's on a yellow. He's got to be careful. I think he was looking for the foul on himself in the build-up to that challenge on Saka. It looks like he grabs hold of the Arsenal man, who's... I'm not sure where this has come from for Saka, who's gone down looking like he's in a lot of pain. We'll see the tackle now, as it's a diving rugby challenge from Udogie. But why is Saka holding his leg, Paul? I don't think there was any contact on the leg there, unless he's gone down on it funny.
It's possible he might have fallen on it awkwardly. Saka's not the type to
no, he's not.
So I mean, I think he's probably looks in a lot of pain. It's for me, I think, he's struggling a little bit right now. But I'm going to ask you for the player of the match in a moment. If you just want to let Ross know who you've chosen, and then I'll ask you for the player of the match in a moment here.
No problem.
The ball is played long and to Kai Havertz. Havertz just drops the ball back here, and when we get a stoppage of play, we'll be asking Johnny, for our player of the match. The ball comes across the penalty area. It's Reece Nelson. We've got 10 minutes of stoppage time. I can see why.
Been a few stoppages, haven't there? A few injuries as Arsenal come forward. That'll be good news for Arteta because it's Arsenal here who are in the ascendancy.
And it's Gabriel. He gives the ball to Zinchenko. He plays the ball across here now to Saliba, who gives the ball to Jorginho. Jorginho to Ben White, and Saka now, who seems to be okay now. Saka gives the ball to Ben White. White to Odegaard, and Odegaard tries to get across, and it's hacked behind by Van der Ven.
Very little danger there, little pressure on Van der Ven. Did he get a shout from his goalkeeper there? I think Vicario could have come to claim that at a canter. Instead, Spurs have got more pressure to deal with from this corner.
Yes, it's going to be swung in by Odegaard, and it's the 9th corner of the day for the Gunners. And Martin Odegaard is swinging this one in, and it's just headed out, but only as far as Saka with a shot. Oh, it just whistles wide. How close was that, Johnny?
Oh, I tell you what, from distance. Is that a smart stop from Vicario? Did he get a glove on this? He flaps away the first one, and it also Basuma underneath it. Saka's shot. Yeah, Vicario makes a smart stop. I think that was travelling in, was it? It might have been creeping in, that one. That's a brilliant save.
It is indeed, and the corner will be taken now on the far side. And it's going to be Reece Nelson. Oh, it's not a bad one. Swung over to the back post, and it's headed up, but it goes behind. And it's another. Is it another corner?
It is another corner. They're turning the screw here, Arsenal. Consistent pressure.
Yes, it's. I mean, Arsenal have been looking like maybe now they got a late goal against Manchester United. They're looking for another one now. It's going to be Odegaard this time. It's swung in again. Raya goes up in. Sorry, not Raya. Vicario goes up for it and catches it a second time. So, while we have this stoppage, Johnny, why don't you tell us who your player of the match is today and why?
Yeah, I think one of the obvious choices would have been Son Heung-min, who of course got those 2 goals. And I think a lot of pundits will hand it to him. But I'm going to go for the man who I believe has had a more complete performance today. And that's James Maddison, who's substituted about 5-10 minutes ago. But he just looked fantastic on the ball. It was his pressure that led to quite a few Spurs chances. And of course got a couple of assists and was involved in every bit of positive play that Spurs have put together today. So I'm going to go with the more complete performance, James Maddison.
Thank you, Johnny. And yes, so our player of the match, sponsored by Commentary Services, will go to Tottenham Hotspurs number 10, James Maddison. And for the reasons supplied by Johnny, and I must say I do agree with you, Johnny. I think James Maddison has been absolutely brilliant today.
A good signing as well. A good signing early on.
Oh yes, absolutely. And here's Jorginho. And Jorginho just drops it back to Saliba there. Saliba to Gabriel. And it's now out with Kai Havertz. Havertz plays the ball down to Reece Nelson as Arsenal continue to search for a winner. Nelson just pulls it back to Havertz. Havertz crosses it in, but there's nobody there. Just not enough on that cross for me there. As again, Kai Havertz he's won the ball back now. Gets in the penalty area, but muscled out of play fairly easily there by Basuma. Once again, Kai Havertz disappoints, doesn't he?
Yeah, good work from Basuma to just muscle Havertz out, but he's just not clicking, is he, Havertz? He's not able to find the yard, go past his man. A couple of times he's missed out on 50-50s, and he just looks a bit sluggish. A man out of confidence, I would say. We've seen it quite a few times with several players. I mean, Marcus Rashford springs to mind, for example, as a player that really seems like a confidence player. He can go in great patches of form, and when he's on it, he's on it, and when he's off it, he's off it. And are we seeing that with Kai Havertz? Are we seeing a man who is bereft of confidence, depleted of any sort of self-belief? Does he need that goal moment, that performance to spark him back to life? And well, if he needs a goal, now's the time to get one. But it's Spurs coming forward at the moment.
Here's Kulusevski now for Spurs. Kulusevski, he just drops the ball back here to Son. Son has got, not Son, of course it's not Son, Romero. Romero, I'm sorry. Kulusevski, and Kulusevski cuts inside, drops the ball to Richarlison, who tries to turn, but that shot is blocked by Saliba, and it's cleared forward. And here is Basuma, who gets the ball back midway inside the Arsenal half. Spurs now, time to turn the pressure on for them. Højbjerg's ball is disappointing, but it bounces to Richarlison, who gets the shot away, and it just bounces up and loops over Raya, but Raya is there to catch it bang on the goal line. A bit of a hairy moment there for David Raya.
He had to be alert to that one, and he did well. It's looping up. It's a nightmare for goalkeepers. That's a horrible situation to be in. The ball hanging in the air, and you're backpedaling towards your goal. You don't want to carry it back over the net. You don't want to palm it away and give your opponent a chance to nod it back in. And he does well there, Raya. Clutches the ball, holds it out of the goal, and danger averted. And Arsenal now spraying the ball out wide. It's a ding-dong battle, isn't it, this last bit of injury time?
Certainly is that. And here's Reece Nelson, and Nelson gives it to Gabriel and back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko to William Saliba, and the ball is played now to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard, can he get the cross in? That's a good challenge by Udogie, and it's going to be a throw in to the Arsenal, and it looks like we're going to see Emil Smith-Rowe as Arsenal prepare their 4th substitution of this game. Of course, it will be their final one. And Bukayo Saka is the man to be replaced, and he's limping there. Bukayo Saka still probably feeling the effects of perhaps falling awkwardly. And
he's torn his sock as well there, Saka, I believe. So I think that might give a clue as to what happened. Maybe a stud in the back of the leg, possibly, as Smith-Rowe with a late cameo. Can he conjure something up?
Well, Emil Smith-Rowe's a very impressive player. We haven't seen enough of him, in my opinion. He spent a lot of the time last season injured. And here is Jorginho now for Arsenal. Jorginho dropped back to Saliba. Let's see what Arsenal can do now. And Jorginho again. It's over on the far side there to White. And Jorginho gives the ball to Gabriel. Gabriel just slips the ball there to Jorginho. Patient build up this by the Arsenal. Here's Saliba. And it's back with White. White just looking for options. It's with Zinchenko. And good ball there by Saliba. And it's picked up now by Nketiah. Nketiah gets across and finds Smith-Rowe, his first touch. Gives the ball to Zinchenko. Smith-Rowe gets the ball back. And it's Smith-Rowe again, working hard. Coming on for Arsenal. That's good play by Smith-Rowe. He just drops it back to Gabriel. And it's down the side to Kai Havertz again. Let's see what he can do now. Kai Havertz gives the ball to Smith-Rowe. Emil Smith-Rowe plays the ball across the field to Saliba. Saliba just looking for options available. He's able to find White, and it's back to Jorginho. 2 minutes remaining in the stoppage time as a minimum. The ball is launched into the penalty area looking for Havertz. Headed out by Porro. And now Kulusevski trying to come away for Spurs. Kulusevski plays the ball forward, but there is nobody there. Perhaps he was looking for Richarlison. David Raya is out and clears it downfield to find Havertz, who chests it down to Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe plays the ball on. Still Emil Smith-Rowe. He's fouled. It's going to be a free kick for the foul by Sarr. And we're going to have a free kick now for Arsenal, and Zinchenko takes it, gives it to Emil Smith-Rowe. Emil Smith-Rowe. Time just about ticking down here. We're inside the last minute. It's crossed in by Zinchenko, and it's just headed away there by Udogie. Only as far as Ben White. Ben White lets the ball go out of play. It's going to be a throw-in, which he is going to take. And it's played out there to Gabriel. Gabriel is about 35 yards out. Gives the ball to Zinchenko. And it's back with Jorginho. And it's played on the ball. It's given away. And now Spurs can come forward. Oh, it's a good interception. A poor ball there that time. Quite right. Poor ball. And Spurs are now coming forward with Basuma. And he's got options. He's got Kulusevski on the side. It's going to play it to Kulusevski. And Kulusevski now getting into the penalty area. What can Dejan Kulusevski do? Pulls the ball back to the edge of the box to Richarlison, and it's pulled wide. Well,
That was the chance, wasn't it, Paul? Richarlison in the last minute of added time. We've had 10 minutes added on. We're in the 99th. It's played back to him. Kulusevski did it deflect for a corner. It did. Tottenham are going to get one last roll of the dice here. It did take a deflection off an Arsenal defender. We're going to have a corner. Is this a last chance saloon here for Spurs? They've got to take it.
well, the corner is going to come in. The Spurs fans obviously will probably be the happier of the two sets of supporters, I would say. But the corner is going to come in. It's going to be outswung by Porro. Everyone up there, it's bouncing around and it comes back out as far as Porro. He's got another opportunity to swing it in. But that's it. That's full time. Well, an own goal on 25 minutes by Romero. Was levelled up on 41 minutes by Song Hyung-min. A second half penalty by Bukayo Saka on 53 minutes was punished just seconds later with Son again on 54 minutes. So we're finished here at Ashburton Grove. It's Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. Johnny, just before I head back to Ross, do you want to give me your assessment?
I think the draw is a fair result there, Paul. Both sides giving it everything. Both sides making costly mistakes that led to goals. Arsenal, of course, allowing Spurs back in after they stole a march with that penalty decision. The correct decision. VAR allowing Bukayo Saka to score from the spot. Spurs roared back immediately. And then from then on, they kind of shared 10-minute segments. And I think if either side would have got a winner in the last few minutes there, the other would have felt very hard done by. A draw, a fair result in the North London derby, and an entertaining game at that.
Well, thank you for that, Johnny. Pleasure working with you today, my friend. And Ross, thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much there to Paul and to Johnny Holmes. Just before we do fetch Luke in the switch, Johnny back in for a moment. And Johnny, you fantastic game to watch there, but probably a draw, fair result as you mentioned. If I were to just ask you right now, with that point that both teams have got, which side do you think would have been the happier with, and which manager would you say would be the happier as well?
I think before the match, coming into it away at the Emirates with Arsenal, being one of the better sides in the Premier League, of course, pushed City all the way last year. I think Postecoglou would have bitten your hand off for a point, but there were chances for Spurs to win that game, and maybe he will have thought there's a missed opportunity. Arteta, I think, generally will be the more disappointed of the two because it's at home, it's the Emirates, it should be your fortress. You want to go ahead and win games. You want to send a message to Manchester City that we're still coming for you. Whereas I think this more sends the message of Spurs are a real threat, and their good start to the season has been no facade. They are a decent side, Spurs, and they can beat good sides. I'd say Spurs would be happier with the point here today, Russ.
Thank you very much then to Johnny. We'll go back to Johnny and Paul just a little bit later on. Let's just run you through some of the results from the other matches taking place today. And we'll also fetch in Luke on his thoughts before we fetch Johnny and Paul back in just in a few moments' time. So in the Championship, Stoke 1, Hull City 3 was the result at lunchtime today. At 3 o'clock is half time there. It is Sunderland 0, Cardiff City 0 in the Championship. In the Premier League 2, which is the under-21s division, Blackburn Rovers 2, Aston Villa 3, and Liverpool 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. In the French League 1, it finished Metz 0, Strasbourg 1 in the lunchtime kickoff. Same kickoff as this one. It finished Le Havre 2, Clermont 1, and Lens 2, Toulouse 1. Montpellier v Rennes. Rennes kicks off at 4:05 with PSG Marseille kicking off at 7:45. In the German Bundesliga is Bayer Leverkusen 3, Heidenheim 1, the latest score at 4:00 Frankfurt against Freiburg. In the Italian Serie A, full-time scores to tell you: Empoli 0, Inter 1, Atalanta 2, Cagliari 0, Udinese 0, Fiorentina 2. All results there. In the Scottish Premiership, half-time scores to tell you: Aberdeen 0, Ross County 2, and Rangers 1, Motherwell 0 is the half-time scores there. Scottish Cup, we've yet to see the result from that game between Broome Hill and Cumbernauld Colts. We'll try and fetch that result if we can a little bit later on before we finish. In the Spanish La Liga, it finished Real Sociedad 4, Getafe 3, 7-goal thriller in the lunchtime kickoff there at 1 p.m. today. Half time is Rayo Vallecano 1, Villarreal 1 is the half time score line there. In the MLS, to tell you about results, to tell you about one kickoff later on this evening, I'll tell you which game that is. But the kickoff, which kicked off in the early hours of this morning, finished Atlanta United 4, CF Montreal 1, FC Cincinnati 3, Charlotte FC 0, DC United 3, New York Red Bulls 5, Philadelphia Union 0, Los Angeles Football Club 0, Chicago Fire 2, New England Revolution 2, FC Dallas 1, Columbus Crew 1, Minnesota United 1, St. Louis City 2, Sporting Kansas City 2, Houston Dynamo 1, Real Salt Lake 2, Vancouver Whitecaps 1, Portland Timbers 3, Colorado Rapids 2, San Jose Earthquakes 1, Nashville 1. Evening kickoff at 6 p.m. UK time is New York City against Toronto FC. In the friendly international women's, the result I brought you earlier, Argentina 1, Colombia 0 is a full-time score. 0-0 was half-time. There will bring you the full Premier League classified check from the weekend's matches a little bit later on, just before we finish this afternoon. We'll be off air at around 4:30 p.m. just before the Sheffield United Newcastle game gets underway, which is taking place at Bramall Lane. I'll bring you the team news for that one shortly. But let's just fetch in Luke Turton now. And Luke, a fantastic game that we have witnessed today. Both teams put on a fantastic show. It was a brilliant game. What did you make to the game? And you said either 2-2 or 3-2, 3-2 to Arsenal. Your 2-2 prediction come round, my friend.
Yeah, I predicted my first score right. So there you go. I mean, I looked at the side and I just thought Jesus and Nketiah together doesn't particularly spell me with much persuasion to give them the actual win outright. I think it showed in the game that it didn't really work. I mean, they had pace on Saka's side, but really, I think that was like their third or fourth option playing Jesus out there. I think if Trossard or Martinelli was fit, they'd be out that side. Um, I don't think Arsenal particularly controlled much of the midfield today. It was very kind of slow and like there was no real turnover of the ball. Basuma and Sarr definitely had more drive in there. Probably with Sarr's youth, probably helped a little bit. I'm not a big fan of Fabio Vieira, I have to admit. I think if they can find another option for that midfield, I think they're going to use it because I just don't think he's progressing that well at the minute. Spurs on the counter were absolutely deadly. I mean, Madison to Son, it just looks like a goal machine waiting to happen. If we can get Johnson into that metric and Kulusevski too, they've got a really potent force up there. I think Johnson will click eventually with his chances. He was just snatching at a few today and not really angling any towards the goal that we're quite used to seeing when he was at Forest. But, you know, 2-2 is probably a fair reflection of things on that 90 minutes, well, 100 minutes to be fair.
Yes, and if I were to ask you, like I did ask Johnny just before we ended the bit of the coverage there, and before we featured some of the other results, if I were to ask you, Luke, who would you say the happier of the two managers would be after that point today in the North London derby?
Oh, 100% Postecoglou. I'd be raging if I was Arteta. You've taken the lead twice and you've conceded twice. As in, even after that penalty was given, it was taken, scored by Saka. The next thing you have to do is concentrate at the kickoff, and even I'd say just concentrate from that minute on. You've got the lead, but no, you've got midfielder and Jorginho that's slow on the ball. You could have played it out to either side on multiple occasions, but he kept hold of it, and then he lost it, and then they went and conceded. And to me, I'd be absolutely raging if I was Arteta because you've thrown away the 3 points in the North London derby. It's not acceptable. You're a professional footballer. Manage the game better.
Yes, and especially with that second Tottenham goal as well, because the old saying is, and the saying that people normally throw out there is, you're the most vulnerable when you've just scored or when you've just taken the lead. And Arsenal were most vulnerable when they've just taken that 2-1 lead from that penalty, and they were punished. They were sloppy after the Tottenham restart. Madison got through, broke through, teed up, Son, and fantastic finish. And everyone's saying that. And we all saw that today. Arsenal were most vulnerable when they've just taken the lead in the match. Once the game settled down after Tottenham had equalised, it were fairly even. Both teams had the chances, but it were moments where Arsenal taking the lead, Tottenham were able to bounce back fairly quickly in the end.
Yeah, but there's no leadership from anybody within that midfield to say, give me the ball. You could see Jorginho was looking for an option. Well, come a bit closer. Give him the option. Let him lay it off somewhere a bit simpler. So spreading out aimlessly and then the guy spinning one way, spinning the other way, getting his feet in a tangle, loses the ball. It just really does make me wonder what these players do in like training and things when they're trying to set up for these big games. It's like in these moments in games because Jorginho is an experienced international for Italy, yet I'm speechless with that bit of play. I really am speechless. Just get it clear.
Yes, absolutely. What we'll just do now, I'll just fetch in our main commentator back, and that is Paul James. And Paul is standing by for us. And very good afternoon to you again, Paul. Great commentary this afternoon, my friend. And I just wanted to ask you, I asked Johnny, I asked Luke, you've heard their opinion on who would be the happier of the two managers. Would you agree that Ange Postecoglou would probably be the happier of the two managers this afternoon from what you've seen today, Paul?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you as well, by the way, Ross. But yes, I definitely feel that Postecoglou will definitely be the happier of the two managers. I think they've come away from a difficult game. They typically don't have a great record at Arsenal. It was always going to be a tough game. Arsenal are a very good team. And I think it really shows, as Johnny rightly said, it really shows that they're a genuine threat in this league.
Yes, and I mentioned there to Luke, Arsenal were most vulnerable when they've just taken the lead, and he proved that with the second goal. And Johnny asked this question in the actual game. With that second goal, do you think Raz would have made a similar mistake, or do you think he would have been more calmer on the ball, which led up to which from where Jorginho was, which led up to Tottenham's equaliser, the second equaliser, that is.
Well, I'll give you the same answer. It's kind of if, ands, or maybes, really, to say whether or not he would have made the same mistake. I would say probably not, because I feel that Rice has shown himself to be always extremely calm on the ball and is a very proficient player. So probably not. But again, it's kind of ifs, ands, or maybes, isn't it? But the bottom line is it shouldn't really matter whether it's Jorginho or Rice. The fact is, a player at that level should not be making that type of mistake.
Absolutely, Paul. Absolutely, my friend. Just to break off, and we'll get back to more chatter regarding the Arsenal Tottenham game in just a moment. But let me just bring you the team news from the 4:30 kickoff, which unfortunately we're unable to bring you. We'll bring you goal alerts on our Twitter feed at Commentary Live One if you want to follow us over there. It's half time, so the not half time. So the team news is in for that game between Sheffield United and Newcastle. And Sheffield United start with Red Fodringham in goal. They've got Gustavo Emer, Cameron Archer, John Egan, the captain, Luke Thomas, Anel Amazodzic, Oliver Norwood, Jack Robinson, Jaden Bogle, Vinny Souza, James McAtee. The subs bench, Adam Davis, the goalkeeper, Austin Trusty, Chris Basham, Benny Traore, Tom Davis, Anas Slimani, Yasser Larouche, Andre Brooks, Femi Sirike. As for Newcastle, they line up with Nick Pope in goal, Kieran Trippier, Sven Bondman, Fabian Shaw, Callum Wilson, Harvey Barnes, Miguel Almiron, Elliot Anderson, Dan Burn, Sean Longstaff, Bruno Gimaresh. The bench there is Martin Dubravka, Jamal Lascelles, Sandro Tonali, Anthony Gordon, Matt Target, Alexander Isak, Luis Hall, and Tino Livramento, and also Jacob Mayfair. The referee for this one, Abraham Lane, is Stuart Adwell, assisted by Konstantin Ataskis and James Mannering, with Anthony Taylor for official VAR is Darren England, and Neil Davis is the assistant VAR in that one. So back to the game of the Emirates, and we'll just quickly look at how that table goes. And just before I bring in the table, let's just fetch you the results from the weekend so far in the Premier League. Starting on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m, it was Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0, Luton 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Sorry for reminding you of that again, Paul and Luke. Brentford 1, Everton 3. And sorry to remind you of this one, Paul, as well. Burnley 0, Manchester United 1. In today's matches, it finished, as we've heard, Arsenal 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1. And Liverpool 3, West Ham United 1. There, and then the last match of the round, number 6, is Sheffield United against Newcastle United at 4:30. So the Premier League standings: Man City are top on 18 points. Then come Liverpool in second on 16 points. Brighton are in third on 15 points. Then come Tottenham in fourth on 14 points with a +8 goal difference compared to Arsenal's +5 goal difference. They're also on 14 points. Aston Villa with that win over Chelsea move up to 6th in the league on 12 points. West Ham up to 7th on 10, going above Manchester United, who sit in 8th. Crystal Palace are in 8th on 9 points. In 9th on 8 points, should I say. Fulham at 10th on 8 points. Into the bottom half of the table, Nottingham Forest sit in 11th on 7 points. Newcastle are in 6th, in 12th on 6 points. Should I say there? 13th is Brentford on 6 points as well. Chelsea, after their shock defeat to Aston Villa, remain in 14th on 5 points. Everton moved out of the bottom 3 with that win yesterday, up to 15th on 4 points. Wolves are also on 4 points. They're in 16th. Bournemouth are in 17th with 3 points. Sheffield United start this match coming up against Newcastle in 18th place on 1 point. Luton in 19th on 1 point. And at the bottom of the Premier League is Burnley with 1 point. So the table is very tight then near the top. Arsenal and Tottenham 4 points behind Manchester City at this moment in time. I'm just going to go around the table, and it's probably, you may say it's too early to start, but I want you to give me one name as it stands right now after you've heard the results from this weekend, minus the Sheffield United Newcastle one. But I want to go around the table here right now with the squads as they are after the summer windows being done. I want to go around each and every one of you, and I want you to give me just a name, no reason why, just the name of the team you think will be Premier League champions at the end of this season. Luke, who are you going to go for?
Man City.
And now we'll go to Paul. Who are you going to go for?
It pains me to say it. It really does pain me, but Manchester City.
And Johnny, are you going to make it an hat trick of Manchester City names for the team who's going to win the Premier League title this season?
Yeah, Russ, it's 3 yeses from me as well. I can't see past Man City.
And it's going to be 4 yeses from me as well. It is also Man City from me as well. So, just one final one. I'm going to go around to you all again, and I'll probably go a different way around this time. And I want to know who finishes higher in the table between Arsenal and Tottenham after this performance today, and just a one-word answer again from you all. So first up, I'll come to Paul first.
I still think Arsenal will finish higher at the end of the season.
Johnny, what about you?
It's tough. It could go either way, but I do think Arsenal will just have a little bit too much firepower come the end of it.
And what about you there, Luke?
Well, I'm going to say Spurs, just to be controversial.
And I'm going to make it 3 for Arsenal, so I'm going to say Arsenal as well. Big thank you then to Paul and Johnny for excellent coverage and commentary this afternoon. Also, a big thank you to Luke for joining me as the pundit here on the commentary for this North London derby. It's Premier League Live. It's Arsenal against Tottenham. What a game. Arsenal led twice in the match, but we're also pegged back twice in the match. Fantastic game to watch. They went ahead through a Chris Romero own goal only to be pegged back by Young-Min Son. Then Bukayo Saka scored from the penalty spot after it was won by Ben White from the VAR check for an handball by Christian Romero. And then just 60 seconds later, straight from kickoff, Young-Min Son scored again, set up again by James Maddison, our player of the match, to make it Arsenal 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2 in this North London derby. So from myself, Russ, from Luke, and from our commentary team of Paul James and Johnny Holmes, a big thank you to you all. To all our listeners for listening to the match today, and a big thank you to Turton Talks Football for also allowing this game onto their channel today. From all of the team here at the Comment Shop, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again very soon. From all of the team here, goodbye.